'Cause we love bitches!
Coming soon to this theater.
It's alive. It's moving. It's coming this way.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Horror Movie Club, where what do? We talk about horror movies, of course. We always try to make sure that it's a movie that's not behind a paywall. And tonight's movie is actually a really, what used to be a really rare one. But you can watch it completely unedited by clicking on the link below. We'll take you to an uncensored version of the movie. But you can also find copies of this, like really good copies of it, on YouTube. If you'd rather just watch it there. Then it's assuming that you'd want to watch tonight's movie, which depends. It depends on what kind of a horror fan you are. Tonight's movie is NOSFERATU in Venice, which is a unofficial, that is to say a bootleg sequel to the Werner Herzog 1979 remake of NOSFERATU, which is one of the greatest horror films ever made, along with its predecessor, along with the original. It's simply an incredible movie. Atmosphere at the yin yang. Tonight's movie, NOSFERATU in Venice, also has atmosphere at the yin yang. Unfortunately, it doesn't really have much of a script. It's pretty incoherent. As a matter of fact, watching it yesterday, I was kind of shocked by how completely plotless it is. You get the feeling that they either didn't have a script. Well, I mean, we're going to get into it. There was a very troubled production surrounding this movie, which is not surprising since it stars, of course, the great Klaus Kinski, the German actor who was absolutely compelling to watch. You watch him in those old Werner Herzog movies like Nosferatu the Vampire, like Fitzcarraldo, Aguirre, The Wrath of God. Those are simply monumental films. They're fantastic. And he was a very unique screen presence. Got his start doing spaghetti westerns and also some crime films, Krimi, they called them, in Germany. And then, of course, crime films became very popular in Italy, and he was making crime films in Italy. He was notoriously difficult to work with. That's an understatement, actually. It's a tremendous understatement. Oh my God. To say that Kinski was difficult, to say that he was a prima donna, to say that he was a pill, none of that really does the actual Klaus Kinski justice. He was a fucking maniac. That's like the most polite way I could put it. Herzog himself has an entire documentary about his relationship with Kinski. Not a romantic relationship, the working relationship that they had since they made, 5 or 6 films together. And they're classics. Kinski himself, even though he hated Herzog, although he hated every director that he worked with, he said that he hated directors, period. He would still be the first to admit, like, out of the films that he made, the ones that he made with Herzog were easily the best of his career. At a certain point, he ceased to give a fuck completely and told his manager, his agent, hey, you know what? I don't care. about the quality of the films. Whoever's going to pay me the most, that's the job I want. And that's why he ended up passing on a big role in a big movie. That is to say, he was going to play one of the Nazi villains in Raiders of the Lost Ark. He passed on that for a movie called Venom. You're like, Venom? Never heard of that. Yeah, that's kind of the point. But anyway, enough of my yapping. Let me bring on, I see my boy Preston hanging out in the back. What's going on, Preston?
It says you're live, but you're not.
It says I'm live, but I'm not.
No, I'm looking
yeah, that's because Pops didn't send me the admin, so I'm just like rolling on my own channel. This is its own thing.
Well, I'm on like the Brian Crisco channel, right?
Okay. Let me see. If I've just been yapping to myself and feel like an idiot. Chris, I feel like an idiot most of the time.
Yeah, I don't.
It's pretty much a perpetual state for me. Let's see here.
I'm not sure if you're live or not. Like it says weird.
I'm live. It says I'm live. Let me see if I'm live. I am live. What's my here? It says I'm live. Let me see if I'm live. Yeah, I'm live. I got the echo going and everything. Now pitching Manny Mona.
This is very strange. Very. Oh, there you are. Okay, I see it now. All right.
Yeah, reload that shit, I guess. How are you doing, Preston? What's up, dude?
There's a major delay, I guess. I don't know.
A little lag.
Doing good.
How did you get any more signups for the? Yeah, I gotta paste the link for that because you're a piece of shit and we want you to suffer. And,
absolutely.
And have to do as many of those painted cards as so it wouldn't be like a sketch card, it would be a paint card.
Yeah, I'm not doing sketch card.
That's fucking dude.
The thing is that if you sign up for a campaign, like pre-sign up and you then back it, you commit to it. Yeah, but sketch card's just kind of flimsy to me. You know what I'm saying? I guess a painting card is a sketch card, though, right?
It's still an original piece of art. You're getting an original piece of art.
No, it is. You're right. I'm not knocking it. I mean, people could do sketch cards all like one.
But you got to one up that shit. You're like, so those other basic bitches, they can do sketch cards. I'm gonna do a paint card.
Yeah, I guess.
That's fucking epic, dude. Oh, can't wait for mine.
I always go the extra mile for people who back my stuff, though.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
When I did sketch covers, they got full color wraparound covers. They never just got a regular sketch cover.
Damn. That's so cool, man. That's so cool. Yeah, no, I mean, you always like go beyond the Call of Duty and like hook a brother, hook a sister up. You know, you're always you're one of those people that believes in being good to their backers because we couldn't do shit without our backers.
I am curious to see how it does, though. Like, I know, like, say Doc Salem got, and this is before, like, I had any real credits underneath my belt or anything like that. I had like 50 pre-sign-ups, and out of that 50, I think only 20 people backed it. Currently with Hell Knight, I got almost 100 like pre-sign-ups. It's like bad. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. But,
right. But you were expecting more.
No, well, I mean, I don't know what I expected, to be honest. Like, I haven't really pushed it a lot or did any interviews or anything like that because I don't really want a ton of people to sign up because I got to do a ton of sketch.
You already got to do 100. You already got to do 100.
Well, it depends on if all the people that signed up actually backed the campaign. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It could be out of that like 100, like 10 people back it or whatever. Right. But I am curious because I think I've nailed down a day to go ahead and launch, and I'm thinking about Halloween night.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Like or
that.
sometime in October.
I like
because
that.
because I was thinking like September. I was like, September's cool, but I was like, it'd be really cool. I would a book that's called Hell Night.
Yeah.
Like launch close to Halloween night, if not Halloween night. Yeah.
I like the sound of that. I mean, that gives you over 2 months.
Yeah, but it also breaks a bunch of rules too. Like, because I was originally going to have the colors that we have for Six Gun Gorilla actually do the cover. But then after doing a recent job that I can't talk about, I decided I was like, nah, I totally have to paint that. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah,
paint the
yeah,
cover.
yeah.
But I am curious because this is breaking a bunch of rules as far as like crowdfunding. Like, you're
Right.
never supposed to launch towards the end of the year. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, so yeah, I'm just, and plus, I mean, the economy we're in right now, like, I'm not sure how many people are actually going back in.
Yeah, I mean,
But
people don't know if there's even, going to be a neighborhood to live in tomorrow. It could be, could be on the verge of like a nuclear holocaust. The future is looking very grim, and so people are hanging on to their money, and they're not spending like they used to. But
no,
I
they're
think things
not.
will hopefully change for
But I've always said if you give somebody something that looks worthy of backing, they'll do it. So
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, and you know what? The guy or gal that doesn't back Hell Knight, I don't understand that motherfucker. I really don't. I really don't.
people
To
have
me,
their own reasons. But
to me, it's like the people that could walk by Six Gun Gorilla and not even not at least pick it up and like flip through it, right?
yeah.
At least go like, what the fuck is this, and pick it up and
That is strange. Like somebody won't even look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like look at your stuff. You know, so,
well,
like
I
just
mean,
pick it up, be like, hey,
right,
what is this? You know, or
right.
something like that.
Well, I mean, that's why one of the things that I always do at conventions too is I make sure to have copies out that are what I call thumb throughs.
Yeah.
And I notice like nobody else seems to do this. And I don't understand why not, because that way it gives people a chance to kick the tires. They can pick it up, flip through it, and hopefully they're going to be impressed. And I've certainly never lost a sale. I've been lucky that way, with the caliber artists I'm working with, that nobody's ever gone ew, and put that shit back and walked away. Oh yeah, what up, Matt? You're going to be painting away, Preston. Yeah, he's going to be a painting fool. Lucky for him, he is a painting fool. Holy fucking shit.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. Like out of when you get pre-sign ups, like usually not everybody who signs up for the pre-sign up actually backs your campaign. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So I mean, I hope they do. Honestly, I really do. I hope they do. But I just I'm not going to get my hopes too high on this. And I do think Hell Knight is very worthy of being, something that's and I am going to be very generous with the perks as far as if you paid to get in the book as far as a drawn into, and there's going to be plenty of drawn into yours. You're going to get the page that goes with that drawn into. You know what I'm saying? And then there's going to be some, and then there's going to be some where you if you don't feel like spending the money to get drawn in and get the original artwork that goes with that, you can always like back a drawn in tier where you just get the book, and you're just in the book,
Right. But then if you get the book, if you have a drawn in tier, then the book should be for free. That should be included with the price. Yeah,
absolutely. No. Why? There's people who don't do that, or
I don't think I don't think I did. I don't know. I have to because it's been like over a year since my last fulfillment, and we forgot to do the drawn in tiers for issue 8.
Yeah, but we hooked that dude.
Bring them in at 9 and 10, and I told them that you'd hook them up because you're
Well, didn't we give him like 3 pages or something like that, or like we gave him the page he was drawn into, right, and a complimentary page or something like that, like. I think so. And that was for like, oops. Here you go.
Yeah. Yes. Because that's the other thing too. If we fuck up for whatever reason, right? And we do fuck up sometimes. We will make shit right. And like people were waiting like fucking 2 years for this thing right here.
Yeah.
Right. So I felt horrible about that. But when they got it, they got a super high quality print from our boy Simon Poitier, and I didn't pack one of these. I packed 2, and a written apology.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah.
In other words, I'm sorry that you had to wait so long. That was some bullshit. But here's an extra one. My bad. Because we're not just representing for ourselves, we're representing also for our fellow indie creators. We don't want anybody to ever feel ripped off.
Yeah.
What's up,
that's the thing is, you want to be generous, especially in this economy. You want to make sure they get the most bang out of their buck. Yeah.
Absolutely. And like with I gotta ask my boy Jason Orpheus, the guy who did Octopus Cowboy. He's doing the backup story that I wrote. That's going to be about like 12 or 14 pages. The origin of the Dandy, right? One of the characters from the expanded 600 Gorilla universe. Yeah. And I was like, well, maybe I'd make that an ash can or something. And then I was thinking about like what Sim did, right? Like originally, his new book was going to be about 75 pages, and now it's like I think like 120 or something, right? And I know that if I have to wait for a book and I get a thicker book, that's better than getting like tchotchkes or stickers or.
I'll tell you, I'm totally on board with that. I mean, I know a lot of people dig the stickers. They dig the keychains. They dig all the stuff. All I really want is the book.
Yeah.
And there's a book this guy has been working on for a few years. It's called Death, 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 and it's insane.
Yeah. We know that.
Yeah. It's an insane 300 plus pages. And I was like, I'll wait, man. I see the work you're doing. You take your time to do it right. I'm here for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll back
it's it's Joe Ball. Joe Ball who did
one of the great talents in our scene. Yeah, one of the great talents in our scene.
The guy's amazing, especially because like when I look at the first Kickstarter he did, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was about a dude who slept with chicks, and the chicks he slept with got superpowers, and they were basically having to fight
that was Wanger's book.
Wanger's book.
Yeah,
that wasn't too bad either.
It was fun. Right? It was definitely a fun book, but like looking at his art then and his art now, the guy has taken a quantum leap. And not only that, like, he's doing it in 3 different styles. He's a total madman. So yeah, you give me more book and I've got the patience of Job, man.
Yeah, man. I'm the same way. And and I say this ad nauseum, but one of the great pleasures of this scene is seeing people leveling up. It reminds me of like when I was a kid and I was reading Daredevil and Frank Miller took over, and at first it just looked like the regular Marvel house style, right?
Yeah.
And gradually you saw Frank Miller become Frank Miller, right?
I'll be straight. I'm sorry, I don't know. We're stepping all over each other.
That's all good.
Trust me, it happens all the time with
we fly fast and loose here. It's all good.
What I was about to say was like what Joe uses his style was heavily influenced by anime, right? At least now it is. Like back then, I don't think it was when he did his harem.
Harem, is that
Super harem?
That was.
I can tell you, like when I seen with Death, and some of the other stuff he did inspire me to go ahead and use more anime tactics, like techniques.
Manga, you mean?
Because he had
manga.
He had some of that. He had some of that in Super Harem because like you could see it in like the kind of like the really stretched out babes, and like he liked his speed lines and stuff. But like when I look at Death, it's like if Jeff Darrow was trying to do an anime. It was like nuts.
Yeah, and also I'm a black and white stan, and I ordered the black and white version of that book because his stuff in black and white is
dope.
Yeah,
like man, like I look at it when I looked at the 3 styles, I'm like, no, I want the black and white. I want to see all this glorious penmanship that you put into this.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like you were saying about Frank Miller, I was having the same thoughts about Jim Lee because like when he first popped off on Alpha Flight back in the day, he was kind of like the average Marvel artist, nothing to write home about. But after about a year, and he was on Punisher, and it's like, whoa,
right? Right.
Talking
Or John
leveling.
Romita Jr., right?
Mhm.
Another favorite of mine. One of those people I like. I like a style almost sort of for its flaws, right? Neil Adams said, you know, style is everything that an artist does wrong. And I was like,
Yeah, it was funny you said because
yeah.
Neil Adams told Frank Miller to just turn around and go home and forget about comics.
Yes.
But Frank was a bulldog.
He's notorious.
Oh,
He's notorious. You want to be careful about showing your shit to him. Howard Chaykin, I'm told, can be a motherfucker. But these are guys who are also motherfuckers in they're not trying to be bastards. They're being ruthless is what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
well, you know,
I know that I always like whenever I ask for feedback, I want people to be ruthless because I don't know if it's any good.
See,
right?
that's the thing. I've had people who ask me to go ahead and show them, you know, like how I do my stuff, and I was willing to do that for a few people, but what trips me out is they ask you to train them, but then they come back and they're like, "Who are you to go ahead and tell me that I'm doing it wrong?"
It was such a funny experience because, you know, back before like the internet really blew up, of course, we all had to go to cons and talk to artists and ADs and stuff like that.
Boy. Yeah, man.
And, you know, like, and, you know, they weren't playing around. They would give you the straight business, and you learned how to grow a very thick skin very fast, or you just didn't make it.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that don't like I think like they tell you like give me like critique my work, but in the back of their mind they're actually thinking I'm so badass he's gonna flip as soon as he sees my stuff. But then when you come at him and you're like, oh no, dude, your anatomy is garbage, you know, and you need to work on this. They flip the fuck out.
In that case, what they should do is they should treat it as humble pie, right? And the thing about humble pie is that it's nutritious. It's extremely good for you, but it tastes like shit.
Well, here's the funny thing. Like,
but it's good for you.
I would get criticisms because a lot of the time I've spent working on stuff, I was like really hyper detailed. They're like, oh man, you're over rendering, you're doing this, and I was like, but in the back of my head, it's like, well, it works for Jeff Darrow and Tim Vigil. You know, what's the difference?
Right.
Because when they pointed out like my legitimate flaws, I knew my perspective was garbage. I knew there was a lot of things I worked on, so I was like, yep, you're right. I'll go back and work on this. But I'll tell you who was super awesome. Brian Steelfreeze. I used to catch him at Hero.
Oh, yeah. Self-freeze? Is it self-freeze or steel freeze? I don't know. I can't remember.
What would I know him for?
I think it's ST, right? So, but forgive me, Brian, if you hear this, I'm mispronouncing your name. But I'll tell you, this guy, he was so cool about taking his time with your stuff. And he would even talk to me on like his break. And he went through my portfolio and he would give me all these tips. And I would come back year after year, and he remembered me every year. And he'd be like, "Oh yeah, like oh wow, you've improved, you've done this." The dude was a gem, man. I can't say enough good things about him.
That's one of the things that I can always say about my boy Preston: generosity of spirit. You know what I'm talking about? People that are just genuinely trying to be helpful because they were in the same position that you were in.
Yeah, and he's so appreciative.
You remember it, right?
So,
and
and he's so appreciative of his fans. You know how like some artists, and you know, they're popular and they're busy and they're like, you know, 3-book minimum, you know, or maximum. I'll sign 3 books. Brian, like dudes were walking up Brian with a stack like this, and he'd go through it. Oh man, I can't believe you have this. I didn't think this was even in print anymore. Like, you know, just you can tell the guy really loved what he did, and he loves his fans, and he loved being able to pass that knowledge on to the next generation.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about knowledge, too. It doesn't belong to you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's one of the problems I always had with math teachers is that not all of them, but the really bad ones, they were just kind of like, oh, if I make this simple, it's going to basically devalue my education and my knowledge.
I have,
and the cool ones were like, oh, no, this is simple. Here, let me show you how easy this is. I'm sorry, Preston, go ahead.
No, I have an episode on my channel called Artist Survival Tactics, where I talk about that as far as like now,
like a cool time.
Well, I reference like King Kelly, right?
Yeah.
And Ken Kelly, I had to talk with Ken. Me and Ken used to go back and forth because we're both painters. And Ken's like, I don't even know why Ken talked to me because he's like, he was way above my fucking pay grade at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now he's dead, so there's no. But anyway,
sorry to hear that.
So anyway, Ken, I was talking to Ken. I was like, do you show everybody your secrets? Like, as far as like their techniques and stuff like that? He was absolutely fucking not. He goes, I worked hard to get to that point. And he's like, I'll show people the basics, but I won't show them the stuff that I use to get the job done. He's like, that's yours. You earned that. He was like, you're not required to show people like all your techniques. Right. You know, it's okay to get them started, but you don't want to, you don't want to create somebody that's going to compete with you in the market. You know what I'm saying? Well, plus there's another thing too about that. Now here's my reasoning on that. He was right. Get them started and let them go ahead and figure stuff out on their own, because that's where you're paying your dues. You see what I'm saying? That's where you're developing your own technique and style.
Yeah, that's how you develop your own style. But I will say I've never been afraid of showing anybody my technique, because even if I showed you absolutely everything step by step how I work, you're still not going to be doing it like I do.
Exactly.
You're going to find a way.
Right. And, you know, because it makes me think of, like, in the martial arts movies, how you can have, like, a martial arts instructor is like, I taught my student everything he knows, but not everything I know. Right?
Yeah, except
but they're usually the villain, right?
Back.
And one of the things I love,
one
I love about the Asian culture, and you see this especially in kung fu movies, where the teacher is like proud that his student is better than he is, right? Mm-hmm. So another teacher will be like, yeah, well, you know, I'm such a badass. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm a badass, but you see my student over there? He's even better than me, right? And that's like bragging rights.
The caveat to that was that Ken did say, like, when he's done and he's retired, he has no problem at all, like writing a book. You know, publishing it, you know, people can buy it, they can know everything Ken knows. Right. Unfortunately, Ken never made it that far. You know what I'm saying?
There's the rub too. Like you don't know how much time you got.
Yeah,
none of us do. You know.
But there's another thing too. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like with me, the first thing I do, like with some of the more famous artists that I studied, like as far as Rosetta, Bisley, all those people.
Yeah.
Like, I was able to duplicate a Frazetta because I was able to look at it and break it down. You see what I'm saying? And pull it apart. Yeah. But that comes with experience. Right. You know what I'm saying? That comes with.
Yeah. Writers do the same thing, right? You break it down and study its anatomy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, like a lot of my early technique comes from my love of the three Johns: John Byrne, John Buscema, and John Romita Jr. and Sr.
Yeah,
and that's absolutely abnormal. Yeah, all of those guys, with the exception of John Byrne, were great fucking people.
No, I mean John Byrne was too. At least Terry Austin was
a great artist. He wasn't a great person.
By all accounts, right?
Absolutely terrific artist. I've talked to many a person who's met him, who's worked with him, and they call being around him the third degree burn.
Oh,
trust me, I met him in person, and the dude was just the biggest asshole. And I was a brand new artist, like I was just trying to get out there, and I was like fucking starstruck when I say I was like, dude, John Byrne. I left highly disappointed.
It's weird.
I don't get people that are like that. I really don't. And look, everybody has a bad day, right? Everybody has a bad day.
Like John Byrne actually turned on people he worked with. You know what I'm saying? Like he tried to stop Kirby from getting his art. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And he fucked over Jack Kirby, right? And it's just like it's the same way. It's like when, like, evidently when he came back to Marvel and he was doing Machine Man, his stuff just looked dated, right? And a lot of the people that were working there would make fun of him behind his back because his stuff looked so dated. And it's just like, have some fucking respect. Like, you would not be sitting where you're sitting. You would not be doing what you're doing if it wasn't for that guy.
Who were those people's names? Do you remember? The names of those people that were
I don't think they gave the names. This was the unofficial. This was in the unofficial story of Marvel Comics.
No, but my point is that you don't remember any of those motherfuckers, right?
Probably not. I mean, the guy didn't name names. Whoever was telling the story. I think it was Jim Starlin that was telling the story, and he was just like, yeah, he was just sickened. He was just like he wouldn't be we wouldn't be here doing this shit if it wasn't for that.
And you know, it's weirdly a shame because like when I very first started reading some comics, I had like these old little pocket-sized things like Thor and Spider-Man.
Digest, right?
Digest.
Yeah, the digest.
Yes.
And at the time,
Yes.
as a kid, I thought, oh, you know, Jack Kirby's really cool and Steve Ditko's really cool. But as I got older and their styles never evolved, I was like, oh man, those guys kind of suck, you know, because all these new exciting arts are coming out. And then I had to be an adult, like, you know, into my 20s and 30s. And I was like, what was I thinking? Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko are still geniuses.
I could never appreciate Jack Kirby when I was a kid. I couldn't. I thought his artwork was garbage, dude.
I thought that everybody that he drew looked like a robot. Like, why does it?
Well, you know,
what do they call him the king?
Having grown up like studying guys like you know, John Byrne, who tried to draw like for then a very realistic style, and guys like Neil Adams, like, you know, whose anatomy is so on point. And I'm looking at Jack Kirby's thing, and he would do that weird thing with like teeth where he'd draw this jagged line and then some straight lines and make it look like I hated that stuff. But like when I got old enough and when I matured a little bit more as an artist, and you look at it in the dynamism, and he would still. Yeah, everybody talks about George Perez like filling a panel full of characters. Look at Jack Kirby. There is no wasted space in a Jack Kirby panel.
And he would do like 10 pages a day. Like,
dude was a machine. He drew at least 100 pages, maybe more, before he shipped off the war. So Stan wouldn't have to scramble to find somebody to fill in. Guy was a total legend.
A G.
Oh, he was a beast. But
a total G, man, for sure.
The reason why it was like that was because he had what is that called? PTSD from the war. You know, he locked himself in a basement and never came out.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh, it's horrible, man.
I mean, he gave himself like severe back, shoulder, and arm problems because he was just unstructured. And he never
exercise, man, when you're doing this shit.
You know, imagine what he might have seen, like, to be able.
Oh my God! Oh my God! No, I can't. Like, it's like no.
Like, there's a story like when he was in a war, like they were behind enemy lines, and he was the artist of the group, so he had to go in and do a sketch of the layout and shit like that. And they said it was so cold that Jack almost lost his foot because he had frostbite on his foot. You know?
Jesus Christ. Well, the worst place to be in World War II, without a fucking doubt, of course, the Eastern Front, fucking Stalingrad.
If you look at Ben Grimm, Nick Fury, and Captain America, that's basically Jack Kirby in comics.
Yeah, absolutely. They've always said like Ben Grimm was
his own story.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. The anti-street gang, those bums. James Hurley says, Brian, who's worse, Mark Waid or Brian Michael Bendis? What do you mean, as writers or as like human beings? I've heard that Mark Waid is a real piece of shit.
Brian Michael Bendis at least will not steal your comic book store out from under you to give to his girlfriend.
Oh,
yeah, no, right? Piece of shit.
Yeah, Mark Waid is notorious.
He won't put a black
and journalist Joe Sacco.
He won't put a black wreath. I'm still going after him. I'm going for the throat. He won't.
No, go for it. I enjoy the shit out of this. Go for it.
Yeah. He won't put a black wreath on your door after your wife died, just to be a dick and cross you. He won't throw stuff at you. He won't flip over your desk. Brian also won't sue you because he feels threatened because you're talking shit about him on YouTube. He won't try.
I can say is absolutely worse than John Byrne.
I also one of the worst
I will say
stories
that I haven't heard of Mark Waid burning anybody in effigy like John Byrne did to Big Jim. Fuck, I'm stuck on the name.
Jim Shooter.
Jim Shooter, thank you.
And Jim Shooter's a fucking genius, dude.
Yeah, Jim Shooter.
Well, he also chased away a lot of the top tier talent at Marvel, and that's why there was that big exodus that went to DC. And that's how we got the Dark Knight Return.
The reason he organized Marvel. Marvel was all over the fucking place before Jim Shooter
Yeah,
came
exactly,
in.
man. Like he got it. He got books out on time.
Yep.
He
got them their rights.
Secret Wars was Secret Wars 2 was especially shit.
Yes, exactly. He got them the rights. I mean, like, thankfully, thanks to his efforts, Bill Mantlo is still getting residuals from Rocket Raccoon.
Yep,
that's awesome.
Absolutely.
That wouldn't have happened without Jim Shooter.
Nope.
Right. James Hurley says, "When I was young, I hated Alex Toth. You didn't like Alex Toth's art style, right?
Shame on you,
Jesus Christ!
Oh wow, Alex.
That's like saying,
right?
There's no reference for that. That's
well, yeah, but I mean, it's. I think maybe that's similar because remember, he had a style that was in some ways similar to Jack Kirby.
Dude, Alex Toth was the backbone and blood of Hanna-Barbera, dude. What are you talking about? Like,
fucking shit! My God, Johnny Quest. Oh my
exactly.
God.
Johnny Quest.
I still love all those superhero cartoons and all those action adventure cartoons. And I tell you, like when
the Herculoids.
You know, when DC teamed up with them for that like 12-issue maxi series,
dude, that was the shit.
I bought all that anyway. I just bought it. I was like, yes, give me my nostalgia. I'll buy it. I'll buy it all.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, it always depends on what they do with it, right? Like some of like the crossovers that Dark Horse has done, like the Aliens versus Predator, RoboCop versus Terminator is a classic. My goodness, some of the Tarzan crossovers. It was like a Tarzan versus Predator at the Earth's core. Which was written by Walter Simonson and illustrated by I fucking love that, man.
I was so sad that Dark Horse lost the license to the Alien Predator franchises because they just killed it.
Dude, did they? They made. Did you read that story? What was it called? It was something where they like you could keep an alien. Like these drug dealers had aliens, and they would use the slime and sell the drool as a drug, and people would like take but drool was like taking crocodile, right? Like it would rot your skin out and stuff like that. Dude, they had some sick fucking stories coming out of Dark Horse.
They had some great ones. The Planet of the Apes Star Trek crossover was fantastic.
And how about all the Star Wars stuff, man? A lot of the EU rests on the shoulders of Dark Horse. There's some amazing comics back in the day.
Absolutely.
They came out and said all the Dark Horse stories weren't canon anymore.
Yep. Mind you, like the Marvel Star Wars comics, it's like they just didn't know what to do with that universe.
It's so funny because like early on,
they
didn't even, the movie wasn't out. They were trying to get interest generated, so they were given like a very light version of the script to work from, and they were producing a series without knowing how the movie was going to turn out.
I know. I remember I was buying it. I remember buying issue 2 of Star Wars off the rack before the movie came out.
And you know what's pretty sad is like when they are paired up with Disney, and I was pretty excited because Marvel did do some good stuff once they understood what Star Wars was about while they had the license. And I think like
after the sequels came out, I think
like had some great artists on there, like Cynthia Williams on some cool stuff, and gave us the light whip. That was a cool thing. That ex-stormtrooper cyborg who became a bounty hunter, and then but when they got the license back, I was like, some of this is pretty good, and then it started getting like really weird. And the only thing that sustained me for a long time was Vader, because weirdly they only really understood how to write villains.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the thing. Like old Marvel was the shit, dude. Like they had the best. There was no real house style. Like everything was just like the Wild West. It was amazing.
Yeah. Caught this little bit of news. I watched that movie Sweet Tooth the other day, right? Which,
I like it.
It was all right. It was all right. It was all right. That's how I would rank it, right? Which is about more of like a woman that's marooned on an island and there's a shark man that comes out.
No, not Sweet
Oh
Tooth.
no, that's
Sweetheart.
that's Sweetheart. That's not Sweet
Not
Tooth.
Sweet Tooth, right? I'm getting them mixed up. Yeah.
Yeah, it had that. It had one of my favorite reveals of a creature when she fires up that flare.
That was a good one.
That
and
was
it drops
alright.
down, and you get the silhouette. And I was like, that gave me chills, man. I
Yeah, it
was
was
like,
great.
woohoo!
Yeah,
Dude,
that was-
I'm gonna tell you, like, we seen a movie the other night called Tuesday, and it's about a parrot that is actually its death, and it would fly to people who are dying and just wave its wing, and it would take their life, but it can hear the death screams of people, right?
Huh.
And dude, that movie it had Elaine
true.
from Seinfeld in it. Dude, that movie will fuck you up, son.
Okay.
It will fuck you up, especially if you have kids. It'll fuck you
I'll
up.
tell you, I like weird existential films. I'm
I do
down.
too.
It's called Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay.
Now this, I know James Wan. He's deeply rooted in horror, and I did like his segment. You know, when he did Aquaman, because he had the abyssal sea people.
Yes, the deep
And
ones.
as soon as I saw
Yeah.
that, I was like, man, if he ever does Creature from the Black Lagoon, although I do wish Guillermo del Toro had gotten a shot at it.
Me
'Cause
too.
they
Well,
always
he
like
did.
to do that.
He
Well,
did.
I like-
Lady in the Water.
I like
don't
that.
love-
I thought it was cool.
I wasn't crazy
Yeah.
about it. I was actually disappointed with it. But that was
Really?
his Creature from the Black. Yeah, that was his Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I like it because he always gives you like a fairy tale, basically.
Yeah.
But you know,
exactly.
my Creature from the Black Lagoon is a monster that's going to rip your face off.
Yes, 100%.
It's not a love story.
No, John Carpenter tried to get this made ages ago.
God
and
knows how
it
amazing
just-
would that be.
And of course, it never took off because he just had too many bombs, right? A lot of his movies,
Well-
certainly like the bigger movies, were financial failures, like The Thing. And
And
Big Trouble in
they
Little
turn out
China.
to be classics that people study like in film school years
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, they're classics. But
I mean, because like
they were
literally,
financial failures, and when you make something that's a financial failure, it's going to be difficult to get your next movie financed on a big budget, right?
Kind of like
Now,
Kirby's
James
Fourth World.
Wan- Now with James Wan, you're talking about the guy that did Aquaman, which made like $1 billion, right?
Yeah.
So, and he's created franchise after franchise, IP after IP, The Conjuring,
Right.
Insidious, Saw, right? That's 3 major horror franchises that he created. That's
Although
amazing.
it
So
hasn't all been
pretty much
gold.
has carte blanche.
It hasn't all been gold. Dead Silence did not quite make the grade.
I didn't think it was. Yeah, I was disappointed with that. I really
I
liked
didn't think it
I
was
thought
awful.
Malignant was a lot of fun. And our friend Matt, who's going to be joining us, I think, he says he's working for like another 50, but that was like 20 minutes ago. He nailed it when he said that basically Malignant was a Batman villain origin story.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, when you're watching that movie, you're kind of thinking, especially like in the last act, which is amazing, you're like, man, this feels like an audition, like he wants to do Batman. So hopefully they'll give him a crack. But now he's doing Creature from the Black Lagoon. And, would he be my first choice? No, but he'd be up there. He'd be in that
Well,
top 3.
I like him because he does know his horror and he's had experience working in water. So
and when
like,
he hits, he hits.
That's valuable. That's valuable experience to have because shooting in the water is 10 times harder than anything else.
Yeah, supposedly, and jacks the budget up big time.
They have a new werewolf movie out. Did you see it?
Oh,
The Beast Within.
Yeah, I wasn't too impressed
wait,
with it,
that's
to be
I haven't
honest.
watched it yet.
that's the guy. That's the one with Kit.
Jon Snow.
Yeah, Kit Carrington.
Yeah.
He's a good actor, but I was just like, I wasn't.
Dude, the trailer looks good to me. I'm
Trailer
all
looks
about it.
good. Reviews have been lukewarm.
Yeah, that's because it's not really a werewolf
Oh,
movie.
speaking of lukewarm reviews, I saw a new trailer for that new low budget Hellboy,
Yeah.
and the new trailer is selling
better.
me on way more than that first trailer did.
It's not selling me, but it's not as much. It's not a catastrophe like the first one was.
Mhm.
For one thing, they shot it on video, but then they do a process on it called film look that makes it look like it was shot on film, right? And you could tell that, you know, they did a little something with, like, you know, the lighting with the tinting or whatever.
Low budget Hellboy.
They touched it up.
Is it a fan film?
It looks like a fan film.
It looks like a fan film, but I tell you, you can shoot on video. I used to shoot all my films on video. And
20 days later.
Well, if you're willing to do it, you can, you know, you go ahead and you, depending on what you're wanting to get out, you shoot your 24 frames. You can add in the grain. You do your color grading, so you can make it look like an older film, or you know, you can do it if you're willing to put in the work. You can make video look like film. Now, it's never going to be as good as real film.
Yeah, but the technology is moving.
It's getting better all the time.
Fast, right? So it'd be wonderful if you could just throw in a filter and be like, okay, I want this to look like a Lucio Fulci movie from like the early 70s. I mean, late 70s, early 80s, right? Or if you wanted like something to look like a film noir from like the 1940s, you could do it.
Have you seen this? I haven't seen this one.
Yes, yes. Death Sentence. You know what? It's my favorite James Wan movie too. It's based on a novel by Brian Garfield, who was the guy who wrote Death Wish. And Death Wish came out and was a massive success, like #1 bestseller. And then the movie came out, and it also was a blockbuster, but he felt that a lot of people got the wrong idea from it, that it was an endorsement of vigilante violence. And so he wrote a sequel, which is about what happens to Paul Kersey when he moves to Chicago.
Yeah.
Right? Which happens at the end of the novel and also the movie, right? You know, Bronson's going like that, right? And it's about him resuming his career as a vigilante.
They didn't want to like promote vigilantism. They should have made it so awesome.
The opposite.
I'll tell you.
No, it was the opposite. He was saying, "Don't do this." He was like, "It's called Death Wish."
I know, but they shouldn't have made it awesome. Like they should have made it like shitty. You know, they're like, "Oh, I ain't doing that. That's shitty." You know?
If you want an endorsement for vigilantism, you just got to watch the Death Wish for Bruce Willis, because you know he gets away with it. You know, in the end, and like it's like, okay, yeah, it's cool. You know, you kill the bad guys, the cop's gonna let you go. Your family's all right. Yeah, and then they go ahead and you know they get their house and they make it like criminal proof.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that. I still haven't seen that.
It all well, spoilers, but it all works out in the end.
Oh, that's fine.
For, you know, the wife being dead.
I have no intention of watching that, so I can take all the spoilers.
It's you know it's a Bruce Willis movie, so it's entertaining. But beyond that,
wanted to show these off.
It definitely
We're
does
talking
not
about Creature
have
from the Black Lagoon.
Ooh, nice. It definitely does not have the impact of the old Bronson films though. Like those were good.
Well, the first one's a genuinely good movie, and the second one are exploitation movies.
Yeah.
I mean, the sequels are all exploitation movies. 2 is just sleazy trash that doesn't even really have much of a story. I think 3 is just madcap, just insane fun. And then 4 is the Crackdown, which I also think is just like awesome.
Well, you know, was it 3 or 4? By the time you get to that film, you do see that vigilantism hasn't worked out for him because he's alone now. You know, he's lost everything.
Yeah, I was at a Comic-Con this past weekend. I was a guest artist over there.
So he's got nothing to lose except, you know, just kill people.
Right.
So I picked this up while I was out there.
Oh, Basil.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And it goes through his whole career, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff he did that I didn't know. Like before, like it was late in life when he was doing Famous Monsters.
Dude, if I was Rob Zombie and that dude wanted to, you know, I don't know if he hired him or if he's like, hey, man,
hired him.
Well, most of his
he did covers for the Misfits too.
Most of his work, like when he was younger, like all the way until I think he was well into his 40s and 50s when he started doing Famous Monsters. But before that,
that's like That's like getting Frazetta to do your friggin' portrait.
Yeah, it is.
Well, before that, he was doing military covers for war books, like comics and stuff like that. Like it was
Didn't know that.
and some other stuff where he was doing World War II and World War One books where it was like naked chicks and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it was crazy.
Hey,
It's all in
Matt.
this book too.
What's going on,
Anything for
man?
our boys.
What's up, fellas? How's it
Hey,
going?
what's up, dude?
I was just gonna like praise and bitch about like the Creature from the Black Lagoon comic. I gotta say, man, Skybound, right? Which is what's his face, The Walking Dead, Robert Kirkman's.
Yeah.
Outfit, right? Which is a part of Image. They're doing these Universal Monsters comics. I haven't read Dracula yet. I think that just came out in hardcover. After reading this, I'm definitely going to pick that up. And next, they're doing
Who's doing
Frankenstein.
the Dracula book?
Who's doing the what?
Who's doing the Dracula book?
I forget. I can't remember off the top of my head. I haven't read it yet, but that is coming out now on in hardcover if it hasn't already. I also got this.
Ooh, that's awesome.
No, don't say
Is that number 1 or number 2?
It's not awesome. This is the first issue of
I've seen The Abyss. What was it?
Of Epitaphs from the Abyss, the new DC comic terror.
Yeah, I reviewed that one.
Nice.
So that's not an old one. It's got the old
No,
cover.
that's the new shit. And there's the EC label, right? But underneath, you can see it's actually Oni.
Yeah, it's Oni.
Oh, Oni Press.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
expect too much.
And you get this really cool intro
That's the best page in the book.
splash page right there.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, all right.
Yeah, boy,
Right.
that takes me back.
That's some EC shit right there, right?
Yeah.
Then it's
And
manga.
and then the rest of it isn't. I enjoyed the first story. It's about a narcissistic wannabe screenwriter, and I've known people exactly like this guy. Like this guy.
A lot of 3D models in there.
Just for funsies, because I didn't know what we were talking about tonight, I put on my Texas Chainsaw Massacre hat.
Nice.
Just in case we're doing some horror.
Baby. And then the rest of the book is woke trash.
Woke Crash. That's what I was
What?
Woke
Are you serious?
Woke
trash.
Yeah. So I said I'm gonna buy 2 more.
It's about abortion.
Yeah, abortion. And about like, ooh, I got a head wound. Now I could get abortion. And then Brian Azzarello's trash at the end. So I'm gonna buy 2 more and do 2 more reviews. And then if it's
Did they actually read EC?
I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, man. Like EC,
Like I said, they had the best cover, thing in the front. The title page. The dude even signed it too. The artist.
Look at the shitty art. Look at the shitty art, right? Look at this.
Jesus Christ,
We're
dude.
talking cut and paste, right? There, the sign on the taxi, right? Crudely cut and pasted, and then crudely cut and pasted here.
I want to put this out there.
Trash.
Like I did contact Oni when I found out that they were doing the old EC, they're bringing EC back, and I asked them if I could do covers or interiors or anything like that, and they did not get back to me.
that art.
Shocker! That's probably because they're not paying these fools; they're getting them off of Tumblr. Now this
I was doing comics that good when I was in 8th grade.
Exactly.
The art on this one is excellent. It's superb. It's really
funny,
the story is really, really good. However, it's still woke trash. It's all about like toxic masculinity. And then the last story, the Brian Azzarello story, I'm thinking, okay, Brian Azzarello, I can count on this guy. He's going to do something good. And the art is good.
It's that typical new what's his name? Everyone's drawing like him now. James Herron,
Yeah, it's all right. Art's okay.
That's the current art. A lot of people draw like that now. But I like it.
Right.
Very
it's not like that
manga
Tumblr shit. It's not like that Tumblr shit. There are some pretty cool monsters.
I always thought that was a shitty thing, though. Like to find somebody that's, oh, his art's really good. I should draw like him.
Well, look, but the story, it's about the vax. It's about the jab.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
And how people who don't take the jab are pieces of shit.
Yeah,
Right.
that survive to become like fucking. They know the ones that don't get the jab just die, and then the pieces of shit that did take it get fucking They get to eat
turn
them.
into monsters. So do you
Which
want
is
to die
stupid,
or do you
man.
want to turn into a monster?
This feels like an op.
It is.
I
It
reviewed
is.
it too, man, and I'm gonna do 2 more issues. And if
This
it's not
comic
cool,
was
I'm
funded
out.
by the CIA.
And they got
Well, you know, they work on
artists,
the
dude.
movies. We know that they
Yeah.
work on the movies. You know, I don't doubt that they're all up in the comic books too, right? You got
Sure.
Tom King. Tom King is former CIA. Wink, wink,
Yep.
nudge, nudge. Right?
Yeah.
He's the guy that fucked up Batman. That
He also went after Jay Lee.
Went after Jay Lee. Right?
Yeah.
I
Total
was
fucking
reading this
piece
shit
of
either.
Poor Jay Lee, who doesn't know anything about all this bullshit
Woke
going
shit.
on because he doesn't live on social media like all these wackadoos.
And
Yup.
it's a problem when I'm the only one that did a review of that book. That's a problem. they fucking know. I'm the first one. I'm like, he got the scoop, motherfuckers. I look, no one's did a fucking review of it. No one gives a fuck. You know, it's all propaganda. So we'll see what happens. I know they're rotating the roster of artists and whatnot. They got Lee Bermejo on 6 covers. They're also doing their sci-fi book. I'm not fucking with sci-fi. I'm just kind of over sci-fi and cyberpunk right now. But we'll see what's up, man.
I'm telling you, dude. Like, if you want good comics, absolutely do not go to anybody that's fucking IDW, Oni.
Nope.
All those motherfuckers suck.
They're all woke. They're all
Ragnarok's
woke.
the only one I'll go for. And he's working on the new Ragnarok. I can't wait for that shit.
Everybody's
Go
on
for
the same fucking page there. You know?
Massive and fucking and indie books on Indiegogo and Kickstarter.
yes, indeed, James.
Check this out. Check this
That's
out.
why I'm all about indies and manga, man. That's where the cool shit.
And French comics. Don't forget
Yeah.
French
Well, okay, yeah,
comics.
European
Fucking
comics.
dope as fuck too.
The new Conan shit's pretty dope too. Like that's the one I'm buying.
shit's dope.
That shit slaps like a whoa.
Oh, Jim Zub.
It's sad. It's sad too because like I mean, no, it's doing good though. It's doing good. It actually is doing pretty good. And he signed up for 3 years too. So
yeah,
and they're fucking with Frostgiant's daughter right now.
I'm so glad in the 80s I got exposed. Like heavy metal made it over here.
Military, man.
Yep.
Getting to see all those incredible artists from Europe and their stories.
Yep. And I'm glad that Americans have discovered Japanese comics, but they need to discover French comics.
Yeah.
They really do. So this is the little pale girl from Terrifier 2.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, this is a toy that Mezco's coming out with. What I love too is whenever they release pictures of the toys, they're always recreating scenes from the movie, right? Like this is the scene where she's watching the television and watching the mutilated woman on the TV, and suddenly her eyes literally light up because she's clearly a demon.
Yeah.
And then where's the other? Oh yeah, this one's great. I like this one.
So this next one is going to be even like gorier than the last one and more disturbing. And
I don't doubt it.
During Terrifier 2.
I just love how
today.
I love how they're just slightly expanding the mythology a bit by bit at a time.
Yes. Cool. Like at the end of the first one, it's like the end of Halloween. At the end, you discover, oh shit, this guy's supernatural.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. This guy's not human. And then in the second one, it's actually spiritual, right? Like it's really goes into the realm of religious horror.
Yeah, it's holy, definitely religious horror. That's the way I took it. I mean, you have the angelic stuff, and then what's up?
And the demonic shit, right? And the little pale girl shows up, and when Art the Clown is doing his laundry at the local laundromat. Tries to wash out all the blood stains, and he's reading a paper, and suddenly, down, he senses a presence, and he turns his head, and there's the back of his head on the left of the the picture, right? And over on the right, that was the little pale girl looking at him. She just stares at him, and then goes, and then she proceeds to soil herself.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
And that's the moment where you realize, oh shit, it's a demon for sure. It's a demon for sure. It's an unclean spirit.
So it makes you end up wondering is how many of these clowns are there out there, and are they all people? Are they all demons? Are they all possessed people?
I think of them as kind of there are the hosts of angels, the different ranks, right? Like the cherubim and the seraphim and that sort of a thing. This is like a type of demon that likes to like dress up.
So like some demon hierarchy.
Yes, right. It's like a from a particular house of hell, as it were. But yeah, tonight we're talking about NOSFERATU in Venice, and oh wow, this oh man, like where do I even say?
All I gotta say is like Christopher Plummer, man. He gets a thumb up just for that one scene, the intro when he's coming in like a G. He's like fucking Ra's al Ghul dude with his green cape. He looked exactly like him, bro.
He did actually, right? But there's like something else too, and this is the thing that blows my mind about Christopher Plummer. This isn't his first trashy Italian ripoff movie. He did one before called Star Crash by Luigi.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
And it's actually based on a bunch of old comic strips that are sort of Barbarella-esque, with a character called Stella Star, played by Carolyn Monroe, who's like wearing next to nothing and rocking like the thigh highs and just smoking fucking hot in that movie, right? And it's one of those pictures where you're just kind of like, yeah, this is sort of a Star Wars ripoff, but it's also clearly inspired by the old Flash Gordon RKO movie serials and that sort of thing. In other words, it's charming as fuck, right? The special effects look real shoddy and everything, but everything has a sort of handmade feel to it, right?
Yeah,
like it has a good spirit, it has a good heart, right?
It's like when you watch old Doctor Who and you're like, they didn't have a budget for effects at all, but like you said, it's charming. It wins you over.
Exactly.
Klaus Kinski.
Yeah, boy. Waking up every morning and choosing violence. There's a video on YouTube called Klaus Kinski Waking Up Every Day and Choosing Violence, which is a collection of his greatest shit fits, at least the ones that have been recorded.
Oh, talk about a terrible, terrible person.
Yeah, he was a terror to work with, right? So he had done. That's right. My point about Luigi Cozzi. Christopher Plummer is in that film, right? Star Crash. And in it, he gives this speech that is completely preposterous. If you were handed the script, you'd be like, you really, dude, you expect me to sell this, right? But he plays it, this ridiculous dialogue. He's the emperor of outer space, right? And he's like, and now we will stop the flow of time. And I'm telling you, he delivers this fucking soliloquy like it's fucking Shakespeare. With conviction.
He brings it. I remember just seeing him as like a kid.
Yes.
He said there's a good actor for you right there. He says it like he believes it. Like this is really coming from him, man.
In a cheap, trashy movie where he doesn't have to. Do you know what I'm saying?
He didn't even say anything like in Sound of Music when I was watching as a kid. He like kind of scared me like as a fatherly figure. So I would just watch it as a kid, and I was like, damn, he seems scary. But then later on, he becomes a nice dad. He's very like militant, and so like he's always commanding. Whenever I'm always like as a kid thinking of him as that performance, and this is probably like maybe 20 years after that movie or something like that. But he's still kind of young in this movie, and I'm just seeing him like, oh, he's like a Van Helsing-esque character in here. And he's coming up like like an elder. I'm thinking he's probably about 200 years old. The character, they don't really say it, but it seems like it's kind of implied that he's been hunting Nosferatu for a long time. And I don't know, man. I would love to see more of him in this movie. I feel like the budget was probably like he is in it for enough, but I don't know. It's just there you go. That's a Ra's al Ghul right there.
Ra's al Ghul,
yeah.
With the green cloak and everything. That's Neil Adams was drawing the fuck out of this.
Right.
It's funny you say like maybe
this
was
1988.
Like, he even has like the little gold chain.
That's what I'm saying. He has everything. It is
that
Ra's al Ghul.
That is
slap
so
the iconic like the facial hair on there, and you got but it's just in that like opening scene.
If you just pencil in that facial hair,
yeah,
Just
Yeah,
give,
for sure.
give the side of his head a little bit of the Wolverine treatment, and there you go.
Yeah, man.
This is my daughter, Talia.
Even and like in modern movies too, his voice changed a little bit. He sounded even more commanding back then, like in the 60s, 70s,
this
80s.
Is what I love. I love an actor who can be in a lower budget film, or even like sometimes actors have to take a job. I need to get my window fixed. I'll do Wild Geese 2. As Patrick Stewart famously talked about that film being so bad, and but they commit to it, and that's the mark of such a professional. Like, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the film's bad. It's still you in it. It's still you. This still represents you. So give it your fucking all. And I love guys who do that.
Me too. And like I said, he over delivers in this because the script of this is incoherent and preposterous.
There's no story. I mean, it's kind of like, but it's funny because I kind of feel that like James V. Hart probably took a little bit of this to write Bram Stoker's Dracula. That whole like reincarnation thing, like coming for his long lost love.
Well, that was invented by.
Might have been in there.
That was actually invented by Richard Matheson in television. The Dan Curtis production of Dracula with Jack Palance.
Jack Palance,
right? Yeah. And if you watch that, that's the first time that idea had ever been introduced, and it's interesting. Because, in a sense, it drives me crazy. Because to me, Dracula doesn't love. Dracula is incapable of love. He is pure evil, right? Like the Christopher Lee Dracula to me is the definitive screen Dracula, right?
It's so funny you say that because there's that wonderful moment where the brides are feeding on Jonathan, and then Dracula appears, and Gary Oldman Dracula appears and swats them all away, right? And you're like. Like, this man is mine. And they're like, oh, you have, and they cower and they cajole him from it. It's like, oh, you have never loved. And he's like, I have loved and I will love again. Right. What are we to have, though? And what does he do after saying that he will love again? He hands them a baby to eat.
That's what he does in the novel.
That was fucking stupid.
Right.
One thing about this, too, like, this movie had me in the beginning, but as it progressed, like,
you realize it's going nowhere.
Retarded. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I was like, then the dude throws himself in the water and all this, and fucking retarded. Dude, it was ridiculous. I'm like, did everybody just get really stupid?
Yeah, it had a good build up.
I'll tell you.
I brought it out right there, man. What were you saying about the first movie that introduced the whole like love angle? Was it this one or was it the one with Franklin Jayla?
No, it was
before that. It was the Dan Curtis Dracula TV movie. It's on Tubi with Jack Palance.
That's right.
That wasn't too bad, I guess.
And that was it's very good. It's very good. There's also a BBC. There was a BBC version with Louis Jourdan that's very faithful to the novel too. The thing is, it's like now, but my point was, it's like that's not from the original novel. It's something that Richard Matheson came up with, but it's kind of like the Wolfman and Silver Bullets, right? Silver Bullets were never a thing that killed werewolves; they were a thing that killed vampires, right?
Yeah.
But
that's another thing as far as killing vampires. Like, he just became immune to sunlight and the Holy Bible, and I was like, what is going on here? He's invincible. I was like, this is crazy.
A lot of people don't realize that actually in the novel Dracula, he's not destroyed by sunlight. That's something F.W. Murnau came up with for his version. Right. He needed a way.
Then it becomes part of the mythology. The same way with the Silver Bullet, like that whole thing was invented by Kurt Siodmak, who wrote the screenplay for The Wolfman, right? But that movie and that idea became so ingrained in people's minds that that's part of the mythology now. That's what I'm saying is that these are living folklores, right?
Because I dug deep into the lore, like the whole idea of the stake through the heart in the coffin was never to slay the vampire. Yeah. Historically, it was an iron spike. Yeah, and you basically
it was the trapping.
So they picked it up. They just
the coffin, so they couldn't rise from the grave.
Yeah. Yeah.
But-
It
but
doesn't
let's face
destroy
it.
them. It just pins them down. So they're like,
Exactly.
"Fuck,
Yeah.
I can't get
That's
up
why.
and
That's
fuck
why
with
you always
people."
see like it's weird because they do that, but they still like anybody's like actually trying to follow Dracula a little bit in the movies. They always cut off the head too because that's the way they
Yes.
actually destroy.
And
You
then
cut off
Like,
the
can you
head.
imagine it? Like, you wake up and you're like, all right, I got some drink some blood today. And you're like, what the fuck is this whole
Damn it!
Yeah. Also,
Fuck!
you
Sons
gotta
of bitches!
goddamn humans?
but also it's like cut off the head, stuff the mouth with communion wafers, and then just burn the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, but this
Burn it,
Dracula right here,
If
like
you-
communion
if you burn
wafers
one
wouldn't work.
You
No.
burn it and you scatter the ashes at the crossroads because if you scatter ashes at the crossroads, they can just never find their way back.
Isn't that a thing too? Like if you drop a bunch of needles, like he has to count each needle.
That- There's
Yeah.
different each
Yeah.
region.
Oh, fuck. 1 minute.
Each region has its own vampire mythology, and I don't know particularly where that came from, but there is actually.
Well, I've seen that in What We Do in the Shadows, and they were
Well,
like,
they also you'll also see it in the X-Files. Mulder runs up against a tribe of vampires, and as the guy's drugging him before, like because they're not like supernatural vampires, but they have this compulsion. They're like OCD, so they keep the guy from drinking his blood. He like throws a bag of rice down, and the guy's like, "Oh man!"
Yeah.
But in the,
Yeah.
I've seen that episode though. Didn't one of them burst into flames when he was in jail, like from sunlight?
Which one are we? Which film are we talking
Or
about?
the X-Files, like the
Oh, I
X-Files
I don't think I did.
thing about
Oh
vampires.
yes, he did. Yes, he did. I forgot about that part.
It's like
Now,
here he
here's
has
one
psychic
thing.
powers. Now,
Do you guys
like,
remember do you remember the movie Dracula 2000 with
Yeah.
Gerard?
I love that movie. I thought it was awesome.
Remember it.
They made
Yeah.
a couple of weird sequels off of it, never using the same actor as Dracula, right?
Watch
But
those.
the
Yeah.
second one,
Rucker
I like
Hauer
the
was in
second
it.
one, actually.
they have this cool moment where they actually get into the whole counting. This particular mythology of vampires, they're compelled to untie knots, and they're also compelled to count things if they're
Yeah.
thrown. So they do this really cool scene where they've got Dracula, and they're researching on him, right? And so one guy like throws like a fishing net on him, and you see him like his wrists are all bound, but he takes his fingers and you see he's starting to work on knots. He's starting to work on knots, and when he inevitably gets loose, he stands up, and the net has been completely undone. It falls apart as a bunch of strands, and this other guy, he takes a bag of rice, right, and he flings it at Dracula, and it does like this Matrix move where like everything kind of stops, but Dracula's still moving regular time, and he's just like looking in the air, and he goes like 14,132 grams of rice, and then they all fall, and the people are like, "Fuck! Oh, we're fucked!"
Yeah, actually, out of those three movies, I like the second one the best.
Yeah. Isn't that one with Rucker Hauer and Jason Scott? Lee?
Third one,
That's
yeah,
the third
Oh,
one.
okay.
Jason,
And
yeah,
the third
Jason
one,
Scott Lee.
They turned,
What were the rest of them called? Like one of them was Dracula 2000, right?
yeah, it's Dracula
Yeah.
2000, and like Dracula 2, and then Dracula 3, and then
Yes,
Jason
yeah.
Scott Lee becomes Lord of Vampires.
Right. So what happened with this was a bootleg sequel. This guy, Augusto, actually, where the heck is his name? Let me find that, because I know I'm gonna mangle it, and I have it right here. Let's see.
So wait, this is supposed to be a sequel of Klaus Kinski's performance as Nosferatu, is
yes.
it? So this is supposed to be a direct sequel to that film?
Yes.
Huh.
Fuck. Let me.
Did they change directors and writers like in the middle of this movie?
About 5 times.
Okay, that makes because I was look.
Oh
It's
man, that sounds like
it had a direction.
That
And
was the
then-
story I was gonna get to, man. That's the story. You
Yeah.
got it, though. You got it. You
Oh.
noticed, right?
Yeah,
can tell.
yeah.
It feels like a movie that was like that. Yeah, that had like 20 different
That
directors because it did.
That
It reminds
explains
me of
why
a book where they have multiple colorists. Like you're like, oh, this is cool. And they go, what the fuck just that? Why is
Yeah,
everything red?
That explains what you were asking about earlier, Preston. Why the story and the pacing and the editing is so damn choppy.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing that's crazy about this movie, and yeah, I have the guy's name because I knew I was going to mangle it, because he wasn't somebody that really was much of a film guy. He was a writer, he was a producer, and he was obsessed with Herzog's Nosferatu remake. Understandably, right? It's a masterpiece. It's a classic, just like the original is. And so, Augusto Caminito was his name. And so he really wanted to make a sequel, and he managed to get Kinski because Kinski, let's say the price was right?
Yeah.
Because Kinski at that point in his career gave zero fucks and told his agent, like, just whoever's paying me the most, that's what I'll do. And that's why he ended up making a movie called Venom, which very few people remember. I remember it. I actually enjoy it. I actually think it's a pretty fun movie.
I don't think I saw.
He's in it with Oliver Reed, and the two of them did not get along.
Nice.
What's Venom about?
Williamson, another guy that was supposedly really hard to work with.
Slugging it out.
He ended up doing that instead of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Spielberg wanted him to play one of the Nazi villains.
Yeah, definitely.
No.
And
wow, he would have been perfect.
Yeah, and he was he just gave zero fucks because his attitude was all the movies that he was being offered were trash, and so I might as well be in the trash that pays the best. And he really, like, at the end of his career, was looking back. He was like, "Yeah, the only good movies I ever made were the ones that I made with Herzog." Which are the best movies he ever made, but he was in a lot of the Spaghettis, Great Silence.
Kane was dope.
Terrific.
I love the Kane movie.
Kane. Yeah, no, I love him in the Spaghettis.
Did you ever see his sci-fi thriller Android?
Yes.
That was a good little under the radar film right there. Man, nice film.
Corman. Yeah.
And a really surprisingly deep film, especially coming from Corman.
Yes. Yeah, and critics were really nice to it too. Like critics actually championed that. It was one of those low budget pictures that it was like trendy for mainstream critics to kind of champion. Reanimator was one of those movies.
Loves Reanimator.
Was one of those movies. So he gets Kinski. And Kinski is like, they're going to put the makeup on him, right? And he shows up, looking like this.
Yeah,
right? With the really long hair. And he's just like, I'm not cutting my hair. I'm not wearing a skull cap. I'm not doing makeup.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it works.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. It looked like a character out of the 90s X-Men books. I was all for it. I was feeling it.
It looked like the boy from Labyrinth.
Yeah.
A bunch of math.
Let's face it. Klaus Kinski does not need makeup to look menacing as all.
I was going to say.
Very Willem Dafoe, or even worse,
Right.
Very goblin-esque,
Because you'll notice in the original Nosferatu, that Count Orlok, the makeup that Max Schreck was wearing, that's heavy makeup.
Yeah.
Right.
Dafoe played him too,
And in the Herzog Nosferatu, I remember even as a kid thinking like I was looking at him, I was like, yeah, he didn't need that much makeup.
No.
Right? It was a makeup that was effective, the bat ears and everything, but it preserved all of his natural features. Right? And I have to say, this works.
Yeah, because really that makeup is just ears, the skull cap, the teeth, and a paint job.
Right. So you give him the rat fangs, and you're good to go. But yeah, I love
the wardrobe change too, man. A lot, like Plummer's wearing like something. Like I know there's time jumps. Like right here, we're dealing with something that happened in the past, but you can see later on they're wearing more 80s garb. And I felt that like sometimes in some of the other scripts, like it might have been in like the turn of the century, dude. You know what I mean?
And let's face it.
Let's make it 80s, and then they changed it.
This works, and I love Nosferatu for what it is. I love Graf Orlock,
Of course.
and Max Schreck is all that.
Scariest vampire ever.
When I saw the Herzog Nosferatu, one thing that always bugged me, and I could forgive in an old grainy black and white film because it's so atmospheric and it's so chiaroscuro, it's so outside of our normal reality that when I saw Nosferatu in color, I was like, there is no way anybody would let this blue pointy-eared fanged motherfucker near him.
No,
but
he
this
cannot
guy,
pass for human.
Yeah, this guy right here could get close enough to you to do some damage.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, it's like you look at the German expressionist horror films, right?
Mm-hmm.
That Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
These are the
Faust, if you want to include that too. And
the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari,
what?
One of the coolest things about that was the scenery, like the set.
Oh my god!
That expressionist scenery, all
incredible, incredible. And like I mentioned, how I have a fascination for the Weimar Republic, which was Germany in between world wars. That's when you had this creative explosion in the arts that was just revolutionary. And the thing that's crazy about Caligari is, even though it's a silent movie from 1920, for some weird reason, every time I watch it, it feels modern. Do you know what I love about it?
Yeah.
What I love about the film is all these characters look like they're living in a painting.
Yes.
If the people in a painting came to life and this was their world, their reality, that's what it would look like.
Yes. It's one of those things that the Italians got really great at in the 60s and in the 70s and the 80s. But specifically in the 60s and the 80s was basically just taking reality and just crumpling it into a ball and going bink, because cinema is the most dreamlike of mediums. And what are horror movies like? They can be a lot like nightmares. And so dreams operate by their own logic. And some of the great Italian horror movies are like that. They're just kind of like, oh, are you going to explain this? No.
I mean, one of the greatest things about, say, Suspiria with Argento is all these super vivid colors everywhere that just do not exist in the real world in the quantities that we get.
Yes.
But you're just totally into it.
Yes, it's immersive.
That's like Japanese horror too. They don't explain shit. They're just like, this is happening and you can't beat it.
Yes. Yep. So they got Kinski, and Kinski could not operate with any of the directors. Evidently, I guess he was in an especially foul mood when he made this. And I don't know if it was him firing the directors. I don't know if it was the directors quitting. I think it was mostly the directors quitting. People going, I can't work with this. I can't work with this.
It's funny. I've heard a video clip. I've heard an audio clip of him absolutely chewing out Herzog, and this is a guy he could work with on multiple occasions, and he's just tearing him up one side and down the other. Like, how did Herzog ever put up with that?
That's crazy. I noticed something too.
Brian Froese.
Oh, Brian Froese. Huh?
Yeah.
He had a plot to kill Kinski, he had a plot to actually Kinski and Herzog had mutual murder plots.
Deine Schnauze, damit du hörst, was ich jetzt sage. Und vor allen Dingen komm du jetzt hierher, der so ein großes Maul hat. Christus war, so viel ich weiß.
Okay, so this was Kinski when he was doing Jesus Christus Erlöser, right? Jesus Christ the Savior. This was a one-man show where he would go on stage and give a soliloquy. The audience, however, we're talking about the late 1960s, early 1970s. This is so summer of love, and Germany, of course, post-fascist became super duper mega liberal, right? Yeah. And these audience members went in and they were expecting a dialogue, and they were expecting to voice their opinions, right? because if you tried to fucking restrict people in any way, they'd be like, you're acting like a Nazi, right? You're acting like a fascisti. It was like that in Italy too, right? And Kinski's attitude was, understandably, I'm going to go out and I'm going to give you a performance that's going to knock your socks off, and you will sit in the audience quietly and watch and listen to me and be in awe. And these people would not shut the fuck up. And then it became a case where people were buying tickets on purpose, not to hear his play, but to instigate shit with him. And it's like, oh, we want to see Kinski. We want to go, dude, Kinski's playing. Let's go see him and go fuck with him. Yeah, man. He's going to have a fucking meltdown. It's going to be awesome.
Trying to get the guy to have an aneurysm on stage.
Well, because his shit fits were amazing.
Yes.
They're incredible. Sure. The ones that are caught on film.
Duldsam. Und wenn ihm einer widersprochen hat, dann hat versucht, ihn zu überzeugen, hat nicht gesagt, halt deine Schnauze.
Right. Like Jesus Christ wasn't telling people to shut up.
Nein, hat nicht gesagt, halt die Schnauze.
No, you didn't say shut up.
That was like Bruce Campbell has a thing where it's Bruce Campbell versus the fandom. And it's the same thing. Like he's just people pay him to be an asshole.
Well, what's funny about that is Bruce Campbell.
And I'm somebody that studies German, and I can understand a lot more than I can speak. And it is one of those languages. It's kind of like Japanese, that when it's spoken in anger, there's something about it that makes you just go, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Japanese actually sounds good.
Very beautiful, but when it's like like some of their better poets, Rainer Maria.
Doesn't I Love You? Isn't that like and Haschenhoben? Doesn't that mean?
Ich liebe dich, ich liebe dich. That's
it's a very ugly language.
Very hard sounding.
Nichts.
Right,
so this guy's going up to the mic. Kinski's trying to do his thing and give people what they came for, and this dude's like comes up to the microphone and is like, "Okay, can I speak now? I want to speak now."
Ich will jetzt was sagen. Schmeiß ihn runter. Bitte nicht. Das ist doch Genau, Kinski, der die Gewalt ablehnt, lässt hier einen Friedlichen, der diskutiert.
Right, Kinski, he's got goons. He just pushed someone down the stairs. He's a fascist.
Von seiner Leibwache die Treppe runterschossen. Das sind faschistische Methoden. Und Kinski ist ein Faschist.
I didn't come here
to discuss. I
came here to perform, asshole.
Exactly. And then you've got people in the audience, like these kids are sincere. They're being stupid, but they're sincere. Right, and then you've got the people that are just there in the audience just to fuck with him.
Oh yeah,
Kinski soll nicht.
Now you got two audience members that are fighting each other over the mic.
They seem to have taken, like, he's not giving a performance. They're treating it like a town hall, and that's not right.
Exactly.
Wenigstens heiß.
Oh yeah, this is great.
Du streust Hass.
You spread hate. Bullshitter. People are just fucking mocking him.
Wäret ihr doch wenigstens heiß. Oder wenigstens kalt. Aber ihr seid nur lauwarm und ich spucke euch aus.
Oh, he's quoting Jesus on him. Holy shit. That's pretty impressive. He fired back quoting some Jesus on him.
So he just fucking, finally he just has it. By the way, you can watch this entire movie. I remember when this came out, I couldn't wait to see it because I'd seen clips of it in Herzog's documentary, Mein Liebster Fiend, My Best Fiend, right? And I'd seen clips of this. I was like, if there's more, I want to see more. And yeah, they released like a DVD that has like the entire.
I gotta say, knowing Boy, what a horrible person he was.
Ich darf ein Zitat bringen an den Werken vor, die Sie erkennen. Das ist für mich entscheidend.
Christian platitudes, but it was a savage quote from Jesus.
Yeah, man.
He's brutal when he pulls that shit away.
He's a fascist. Now he's yelling at the police. Yeah, so this is one of the better stories here, and then we'll get back to the movie. But I just love this.
This is cool. I like this little excerpt.
This is from My Best Fiend.
From the very first moment he terrorized
Monate zusammen gelebt habe.
Yeah. He was living in this house while he was directing a play that Kinski was starring in. And yeah, check this story out. This shit's pretty fucking wild.
Vom ersten Moment an hat alles, was hier war, das waren 8 Parteien, die hier lebten, terrorisiert. Und zwar hat sich ins Bad eingesperrt. Das muss. Und Kinski hat sich hier in diesem Badezimmer 2 Tage und 2 Nächte, 48 Stunden lang.
48.
He locks himself in the bathroom for 2 days and 2 nights for fucking 48 hours.
Eingesperrt und hat in Tobsuchtsanfällen
alles. And when they finally get the fucking door open, everything has been smashed to bits.
Also die
so like dust,
Badewanne, die
bathtub, toilet bowl,
Kloschüssel,
everything.
Alles, was da war, konnte man hinterher durch ein Tennisracket sieben. Das war wirklich unglaublich, weil ich sowas nie
just a mad, crazed artist.
Für möglich gehalten habe, dass jemand 48 Stunden toben kann. Unglaublich schreien. Ja. Also er konnte Weingläser zersingen. Und er schrie in 3 Oktaven zu hoch, schrie er klar.
Yeah, evidently there was this woman there that was kind of taking care of everybody and doing stuff for them, washing their clothes, cleaning their clothes, and for nothing, right? Just,
what was that comedian that would do like these performances where he had just lived the whole performance? You know what I'm saying? I think
Andy Kaufman.
Andy Kaufman. Yeah, this kind of reminds me of Andy Kaufman type of shit right here.
Right. Well, he's like he was one of those people, and we have quite a few of them now, where you just expect them to rip their faces off like masks, like from like Mission Impossible style, and reveal
like G.G. Allen.
Yep. Yeah. G.G. That was a G.G. Allen's last performance. Oh my God, man. Yeah. That was wild. That was wild.
I mean, he didn't get to do it, but his plan was off himself on stage.
Und zwar waren ihm da die Hemdkragen nicht gut genug gebügelt.
Yeah, so this woman didn't do a good enough job of ironing Kinski's shirt collars, and so he screamed, "Clara, du Sau, you pig!" and evidently just and ripped the shirt up so that it was just eviscerated in a second, and like the pieces were floating down like paper.
Oh, this is definitely Andy Kaufman type shit.
Here he is. Oh yeah, here he is on the set of Aguirre, The Wrath of God, one of the greatest movies ever made, where he swings a sword at an extra's head. Yeah. He said that like Kinski just lost his sword.
Glück von einem eisernen Helm geschützt und schlug eine Sword.
Right. So he swung the sword at the guy and he hit him so hard that he would have killed the guy if the guy hadn't been wearing one of these conquistador helmets.
I'm sorry, if he'd done that shit to me, we'd have been in an actual sword fight.
Yes, for sure. For sure. Well, I mean, like when they were doing Fitzcarraldo, like I said, they had like mutual murder plots against each other, Herzog and Kinski, and that the natives hated Kinski, and they went up to Herzog because they knew he was the guy that was in charge, and we're like, yeah, can we kill him? And he's like, no, I need him. He's the star of the movie. Not yet.
No, I need him.
Nein, nichts vergeben.
Tiefe Kerbe hinein, dass mir eine
Klaus still got hurt.
Came second.
Yeah, here he's doing one of his legendary fucking shit. on the set of Fitzcarraldo. Yeah, go check this video out. It's on YouTube. It's called Klaus Kinski Wakes Up Every Day and Chooses Violence.
Yeah, I'm watching this.
But I mean, but here's the thing. Nobody could work with the guy. They went through 4 different directors, including Luigi Cozzi, who I was talking about before, did Star Crash. And ultimately, Augusto Caminito himself. And here's the thing that's so weird and amazing about this movie, because this is a movie that I recommend if you like a certain type of movie, right? That is to say, European trash cinema that's entertaining, right? Where it's a mess. Don't go in expecting a conventional horror movie, but this movie has a mood and an atmosphere to it that's totally unique. That's not like any other movie I've ever seen. And there are a few movies that are like that. My friend Chris, much love to you if you're listening, by the way, brother man. He has an obsession with this movie called Hell of the Living Dead, which is like an Italian Dawn of the Dead ripoff by the infamous Bruno Mattei. And he loves that. And I'm always amused by his love for that film, right? Not that I don't love it in my own way too, but he especially loves it. And he's right. It has a unique atmosphere. It doesn't feel like any other film. And this was at the very end. This was like 1988. The Italian film industry was pretty much over. But there are 3 things that this movie is going for. First of all, it's beautifully shot. The cinematography is astounding. It's beautifully shot. And then, of course, you've got Kinski, who is always Kinski, right? So even if you're getting him at 50% power, he's still bringing a certain intensity.
Was Kinski like a super cage fighter or something like that, or some type of martial artist?
No, he wasn't a tough guy. He wasn't a tough guy. He was just. Here's the thing: if he were
well, how many times did he have his nose broken?
Comic book terms, I think if I was to take a comic book character and equate him to Klaus Kinski, I would say Rorschach.
Right. Yeah, for sure. He would have made a great Rorschach.
I would say Rocket Raccoon.
The fucking guy, man. The fucking guy had just presence out the ass. And that's why people put up with him, because he put asses in seats. People would, we went to see the movie, and Kinski was in it. You're like, okay, this is going to be good.
Well, you get the same thing out of Marlon Brando. He just did whatever the fuck he wanted, and everybody else had to work around him.
Well, yes. I did read something about this movie when you suggested it.
Yeah.
And it said that, like, all the sex scenes he was in, he actually demanded that they really, like, pleasure him.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well,
he was a notorious, what's the male version of a nymphomaniac? A satyr or something? Yeah. The male version. He wrote a book. He put out he caused a scandal. He caused a scandal here in the United States, actually, because he wrote his autobiography called All I Need Is Love. And evidently the publisher printed it. It was translated, printed, and they didn't bother proofreading it first. And it was so full of sexually explicit detail that they started yanking it off the shelves. They yanked it off the shelves, and of course people were racing to buy it before it got yanked off the shelves, right? So the sales went through the roof while people could still manage to grab a copy. And then certain bookstores were just like, yeah, we saved a couple. How much you want for this?
I think this happened the year that Kinski died. But Fangoria was doing kind of a retrospective on him in this particular magazine. And again, just going by, and I don't remember who said this, but one of the people they were talking to, I suppose it was the director.
Yeah.
He claims that Klaus Kinski gleefully told him that he raped his daughter Natasha when she was 14, is when he started raping her.
Dude.
And if that's true,
no,
if that's true,
you know, because the guy's dead, so he can't defend himself.
Right.
And his last comment in his interview is like, you know, he's probably cheerfully burning in hell because that's just the kind of a guy he was.
Yeah, there's no excuse for that.
But it's one of those things. It's like you don't know, right? He's not here.
You know, you see his behavior, and it does make you wonder. It's like
it's erratic. It's insane. Was he that much of a fiend? I don't know.
That's why I say I can confirm that this guy says it after the man's dead and can't say anything about it.
That's to defend himself.
Right. And this wasn't coming from his daughter herself.
No.
Did his daughter ever speak out about that?
I've never seen an interview.
I don't know.
I've never seen an interview where Natasha said anything about her father molesting her.
Right.
Did she deny it though?
I don't know.
Yeah, I never saw anything following up on that. So like, because really, I only saw her in a handful of films. My favorite being Cat People.
Oh, of course, that's everyone's favorite. Yeah, boy, you see a lot of her in that. Man, she's fucking hot. Yeah, I mean, the women in this are pretty hot too, right? You notice how I managed to take this?
I was about to say,
in such a way. There's no nipple. There's no butt crack. It's very PG-13.
That was extremely well done, man. Like that was professional.
I noticed in this movie he's more like Dracula, he's like seducing him and stuff. In the other movies too, he's more fiendish, like how he would try to like bite people. Like remember when the guy comes to his house in the first Nosferatu by Werner Herzog? It's the Jonathan Harker-esque character.
Yeah.
He just bites him, attacks him like a rat. You know, very fiendish. He's not like that in here. In here, he's more Dracula-like, more Michael Myers, more He's very slow, cool, calm, collected. He's controlling everything. Way different.
He has authority. He's more like Christopher Lee's Dracula in that sense.
Yeah,
like, he shows up. There's just something epic about his appearance.
You know what's funny about you pausing on here because this being on YouTube and all that. YouTube has such a weird hang up about nudity, even though you can rent movies with nudity, and at the same time, I accidentally stumbled across something I did not even know was a thing.
Brazilian waxing.
Dude, like this chick's just shaving her bag. I was like, what?
Educational.
Her butthole, and I don't even know why you would shave your butthole. Who's looking that close at your butthole? I'm like,
dude,
and like this is on YouTube. This is on YouTube. But like when we tried to put like a little bit of nudity into some of our horror shorts, we were putting on like, oh no, strike, ban, like all that. But no, this chick is like and she's stretching her.
Well, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. Like you got to put it as educational. Like if you're educating people about horror movies, then
I've put some stuff that's educational on my channel. I've gone back and switched it to videos.
I don't understand that at all, man. The double standard is real,
and they're still up. What?
Look, I don't know what the problem is. I mean, you got to educate people. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. My favorite though is like the anus bleaching. When I found out that was a thing.
Why do people do that? Like, really?
Well, you know why?
Too?
You know why?
Oh,
haven't you ever?
That's a bad thing. People shouldn't do that.
Okay, dude. Like, even if you're into like a little toss in the salad, even if you're into some anal, I don't understand the bleaching of the butthole. Like, you're already
really. That's never happened.
You do it because you kind of don't want people.
And looked down and said, honey, you know what? You're the best thing that ever happened to me. You're the light of my life. You're the love of my life. But I'm sorry, your butthole.
Well, you know what it is. Seriously. This is the explanation right here.
Okay.
Because when you're going to marry your, whoever it is, or you're dating her or whatever, and you're like, I'm thinking about marrying this chick. And then you're like, and then you're having sex with her and you're like, hey, let's have anal sex. And she's like, I don't do that. And then you look down and you see the scarring. And you're like, are you sure? Are you sure?
Did I see a bottle of Astroglide on your nightstand over there?
Yeah. I don't get the. I'm a very liberal guy. People do what you want. Do you do you, folks? But I have never understood the whole.
I got a joke. Can I tell you my joke?
Is way is entertaining enough. You know,
Okay. So they had a guy and his girl, right? His wife, and his wife had a brand new 90, so they start doing it. You know, and she starts the night on, so he finishes, and some other guy on a 90, and she looks down and she says, "Kids always fucking shit up."
Oh, God damn,
that's funny.
Kazing's got a million of them. Oh, hey, what's up, Pops? He says, I sent you the link. Yeah, dude, I didn't get it. So I just I improvised. There's another one, right? Very, very carefully taken. Now, another thing that this movie that's exceptional about this movie, and that makes it, in my opinion,
I say just go ahead. Show the full frontal since we're doing the analysis. That's educational.
Right. But the locations in this.
Yes, absolutely.
I will say that. Yeah, the locations were pretty badass.
Oh my freaking God. Venice. Right?
Yeah, man, right.
And so they can jump around in time and they don't need to change anything because nothing there has changed.
It's true. That's like, well, I was just saying, I think that might have been some of the ideas for some of the direction, because I felt like some of the 80s clothes didn't come in till like different parts of the movie. You know what I mean? Obviously they're having some flashbacks in the movie, but I'm like, damn.
Yes. Like when
you know, like maybe they wanted to keep it like 1800s, but they're like, nah, let's go 1900s.
Dude, there was so many times I had to rewind, and I'm like, what just fucking happened?
Yeah.
Why is this happening?
That's not how you watch this movie. Yeah, people, be forewarned. Be forewarned. I do recommend this movie, but expect it to.
Don't expect it to make sense.
Don't expect it to make sense. This is eye candy. This is eye candy.
I've been watching
NOSFERATU
films for a long time, and I've come to understand a lot about a lot of different cultures through film.
Yeah,
me
too.
And still, especially when I watch the Asian films, I know I'm not going to get everything all the time, and you just kind of accept it.
Yeah.
I will say, as far as locations, back when I was making my own short films and whatnot, there's a place a couple hours down south from me called Charleston, if you've heard of it.
Of course.
And it's one of the older cities in our country. You know, there are buildings there that are 200 years old, and I went there for like a little mini vacation one year. Yeah. And I was like, what an amazing place to shoot this is, because you actually have streets, and these buildings are 200 years old, and some of these streets are cobblestone streets. And I was just like, oh, if we can just catch it when there's not any cars parked over here, or like these people aren't walking around, you could have like a great little period piece right here. Right. And like, I wish we had this architecture, but instead of the Art Deco kind of architecture that we were originally going for, we ended up with brutalism over here.
I know.
Everything,
is that terrible?
Boxes.
That's sad. Look at that, man. And Venice, as a lot of you are probably aware, is sinking. And so they have been struggling for decades to keep it afloat, because it is one of the great treasures of Europe. You know, it's this incredibly beautiful, historically preserved city, but it's sinking. They used that in Casino Royale, right? Remember, that ends in Venice, and they're in one of the buildings where they have like these giant flotation devices that are keeping the buildings collapsing, and they're bursting, and then the buildings are collapsing. And then they did something, I think, to kind of like seal the water coming in from the bay, but then the water that was contained within was getting all stagnant. So now they have something that opens and closes. I guess to I don't know exactly how that works with the tides and everything, but evidently that's something that they're doing to try to preserve the city. But I
don't know what they're going to do, man. Like nature.
I don't know what they're going to do either. I would love. Look, I would. I haven't seen Venice. I haven't seen. I missed seeing Notre Dame. Notre Dame Cathedral would burn down. I was like, fuck.
The whole thing burned down.
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn.
They're rebuilding it. They're rebuilding it. It was one of the great treasures of Europe, because the thing about Italy is Italy wasn't really bombed. right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you had like incredibly beautiful cities like Dresden, right?
Yeah.
Incredibly beautiful. That's one of the reasons why they fucking flattened it, right?
Yeah, Dresden got firebombed into the dirt.
Yeah, the greatest mass killing in human history, actually. In Spain, in Italy, those are the places. France, those are the places where pretty much like the historical architecture was.
And speaking of for the historical buffs out there who like want to cry about us dropping the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, one bomb really should have been enough. You know, like they saw what was happening. Two, we tried to invite them out to see what the bomb could do before we even dropped it. And three, those two bombs together didn't kill as many people as firebombing the fuck out of Dresden, which was the original plan to do to Japan.
Right. Yep. No, that is true. That is true. Yeah, and all three of those bombings, in my opinion, war crimes. But you know, that's something that's something that people have been debating for decades, and will debate for decades more.
No, I'm with you on that. I don't agree on bombing civilian targets.
Dresden and Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Whether or not those were war crimes, I believe that they were, but that's me. So you've got these incredible locations, right? And there's another thing about the way that this film is shot. This is one of those movies where it looks like most of the shots were taken at dusk, which in cinematography terms is called magic hour, because there's something about it that makes everything sort of luminous. Yeah. Like there's a movie, God, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's by Michael.
Because this shot right here is particularly beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they had a sunrise shot too, or a sundown shot on the beach, you know, where he's kind of awoken. That was really good with a lot of reds.
That almost doesn't look real, actually. It looks
it's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
It's like
it
AI.
gives everything an unreal feeling.
It looks like what did they like? Yeah, even that right there, like all those shots where the fog's in the back, it looks like it's just a tapestry in the back that they.
I like the ending too, right here.
Yeah, it's great. It's very genre Lin. It's a very genre Lin kind of an ending.
At least it opened for a sequel too.
This is what really gets stupid. Like,
the whole thing's retarded, dude.
So he bangs this chick and then he dies, right? That's
supposed
the premise.
to, but then he's like,
that's the premise, right? And
right.
Yeah.
So, but these guys have to go over there and kill him. Make it make sense.
That actually did make sense because they don't know that's the deal. That
he's been telling him that the whole time. The dude that threw himself off the pier, he's telling him the whole movie. He's telling him that.
Oh, you are right. Like I said, this movie's incoherent.
Yeah.
That's one word for it.
Zero fucking sense. It makes zero fucking sense. I still really enjoyed the heck out of it, but that's
the sceneries, the shots alone is a reason to watch the movie. You know what I'm saying? But
Donald Pleasance, of course, he's not in the movie much, but he's fantastic. When he's
in it right here,
they pulled in some high caliber people between you got Pleasance, you got Plummer, you got Kinski.
Yeah,
but that's one of the things that that's mind boggling about this movie is that you have this top tier talent, you have an incredible cinematographer, you have got maybe what might be the best location on the planet.
Yeah,
but no fucking script.
You said NOSFERATU in Venice. I'm like, let's watch that shit.
I think there's rumors. There's rumors also. I don't know if there's any truth to these. That Kinski directed some of the scenes because he had directed.
The only director he can tolerate
is himself. Right.
Gunning for that the whole time, and he's like in between the directors. Maybe he had to keep the production going.
It's possible.
That's a possibility. Yeah, I never thought.
I'm talking
right.
Like Kurt Russell did for Cosmatos on Tombstone.
Yeah.
He directed like 90%.
That movie had like when people asked him in interviews, like, so did you direct Tombstone? He's just like, a bunch. He's like, a lot of us directed Tombstone. But that was like a group
things
effort.
that happen, and then when you get a cat like Kinski, like for instance, like Edward Norton is known for taking charge on a set and trying to direct the movies. Like
idle little bitch. Yeah.
Yes. He's notorious for that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, and look at these, and then it's not just the exteriors, the interiors.
Yeah, look at
this place, man.
Yeah. No, this movie's a treasure trove to like set up a morgue file off of.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right?
That's like some Legacy of Kane shit right there, or Castlevania.
Exactly.
Yeah, seriously,
shit, man.
Dude, I can use this for Nine Devils. But
I was saying, like,
sure.
If I've never drawn anything gothic, I'm putting this on play while I'm working.
That was cool. Like that shot right there. It blows the hole straight through.
It's like a nice symmetric hole,
Yeah. And then they reverse the film and it fills back in. Like that was
even some of the black and white would look kind of cool, I think. Like especially like those gothic like arch shots, and there's a scene too when he's like haunting that chick home from the ball, you just see the shadow pass by the lens, and then he kind of comes up, and you're carrying all this in your mind of history of Kinski off and on the set, so you already kind of know he's scary, right? Or monstrous, or he just has that, So he's just coming up behind her, and then that part's scary, but then you just see like that silhouette of that outer rim light of him, in the alley right there, looking at her. I thought that was the scariest scene in the movie when he
it is. I think so too. Because the rest of this movie doesn't really deliver as a horror film. Now, this scene, for instance, fucking Christopher Plummer acting his ass off.
Well, Christopher Plummer did his job. Like he earned every nickel.
Bitch. I mean, dude, for somebody that can, it's like, how did you keep a straight face? And not only did you keep a straight face, how did you fucking act with balls out conviction for this piece of shit?
I know, right? Did you
notice, bro?
Did you notice right before he jumps into the Venice like waterways or whatever?
Yeah.
Like he's behind the gate, then the fog moves in, and he's in front of the gate, then the fog moves in, and he's no longer there.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool concept on how they pulled that off. But it was
it's beautifully shot. It's beautifully shot. If you just looked at the stills from this, you'd be like, "Oh, this is gonna be awesome."
Yeah, it's like
look,
I don't tell it.
And it
is standing there with the white long hair. I'm like, dude, he looks like Kane or something, or fucking.
Just from our
dude, he looked badass.
He looked like Lestat, I was like, okay.
Didn't need the makeup.
That's a good reference, right? Lestat. I never thought about that. You're right.
I was thinking,
just from the stills, this looks like the very best that Hammer ever had to offer.
Yes, absolutely. It's like, and it's just like all this talent, wasted. But at the same time, because like I'm not going to deny that this movie is a piece of shit. Yeah, that's a catastrophe. But I still found it really, really entertaining. I never
it could not be here. You know what I mean?
You know what we watched?
For a second.
We were watching. We've been going down a nostalgia train, I guess. With old movies. So we put on Legend the other night.
Oh yeah.
Oh, which version? American or European?
I don't know. Whatever version I found.
But
the 90-minute.
Oh, that Legend.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I forgot about that movie was how strong of a fairy tale like storyline it had.
Yeah.
And I, like the fairy in there, the dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, is that a kid or is that like an actual dwarf? And like he was so good at what he was doing, I couldn't tell. So I had to look him up on IMDb. And it turns out him and the imp were both like kids doing these scenes, and I was like, dude, this is like they in the scene.
Oh, you talking about like the little fairy girl who had the hots for Jack?
Yeah. And the backgrounds on that movie were fucking incredible when they got to hell.
Oh yeah,
like there's I don't think they can top that movie. I just can't. I mean, it's just like
in the background, the butcher, just chopping.
Yeah, dude. Like there's no remaking that movie. Like that thing, it was so ahead of its time.
I said I want a sequel, dude, with Jack grown up.
I don't want a sequel. Like I don't need one, but
in Europe. It was a hit in Europe, because they have a history of fairies and dwarves and all that stuff, right? So the Germans, for instance, they ate that shit up.
Dude, and Tim Curry. I forgot how good Tim Curry was. Like he gave the darkness life.
And the Goblin, Mick Bunklebones, who was played by Robert Picardo, who was the Doctor Hologram on Star Trek Voyager.
Also, yeah. That was an awesome one. Indeed, I do.
Goblin, fire, burning higher, making music like a choir.
yeah. Like it was great. Like I forgot how good that movie was. And Tim Curry, dude. Oh my god, dude.
You absolutely could not make that movie the way they made it today.
Nah,
because
they don't make movies like that anymore.
And you can tell,
but because you couldn't
make everything by hand.
Yeah, and you can tell like he was acting through the dentures he had in, and you could barely catch like a wisp every time he talked because of those dentures.
You couldn't do it these days because it's just like you couldn't do Leon the Professional because you can't put a 12-year-old girl in a sexual situation with an adult male. You know, even in the context of the story, because
I don't think it was sexual. You know what I'm saying? Like it never came across as sexual.
No, it was more like a father-daughter.
Like the little fairy girl wanted to bang Jack.
Yes.
And she's like,
but she's a fairy, so how many hundreds of years old is she?
Correct.
Well, I mean, as far as like the kiss, like that was,
she just like, but people would like lose their shit today.
Yeah, there's no way you can do that. But also, you can't have dwarves playing dwarves either.
Yeah, those dwarves stole a show, dude. Another the dwarves just stole a show, dude.
I love Peter Dinklage as an actor, but what a dick move to all your
pulled up that fucking ladder. He's that ladder, right? It's like, hey, one of us made it to the top. Hey, how's it going, guys?
An asshole.
The weather's real nice up here. Maybe you'll find out one day, but not anytime soon.
That's right. One of us made it to the top, and I'll be the only one at the top.
That's the closest movie you're ever going to get to a Legend or to a Zelda. You guys ever played Zelda? Legend is the closest thing you're going to get. He gets the sword, he gets the suit, he gets the armor. You know, the closest thing you're going to get to Zelda. And I definitely would love to see a trilogy. I'd love to see him grow up. I'd love to see more Mecha Bones. And there's all kinds of monsters and all kinds of ghouls. I mean, I don't know. It could just be some cool shit. I also wanted a Mad Mardigan.
That movie was.
But we got Willow. That movie, that TV show was they couldn't do it.
I didn't fuck with it. I didn't
watch it.
And it sounded woke as fuck. By all accounts, it was woke as fuck.
I think I'm gonna have to check out Sword and the Sorcerer next.
It's so sad because I watched 2 episodes of Willow. I watched it like
it's an awesome movie. It's trash.
I've seen it, but I just
that's the one with the blades, right? With the 3-bladed sword.
Yeah. I just remember it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Beastmaster, bro.
That was
Beastmaster
the
number
case where
2.
they knew that Conan was coming out,
Beastmaster
and they rushed out the ripoff before Conan even came out.
And it was great, and it was made by let me see, it was Albert Pyun. Albert Pyun. That guy makes absolutely baller movies. Every single movie. Like you watch Mean Guns, it doesn't have much of a story.
Not every single movie. He made a lot of
you
trash.
Would be entertained the whole time, man.
But when he was one of those guys who made mostly trash. But
when he
awesome.
hit
Cyborg, Nemesis, when he hit the ball,
Nemesis is a great friggin' action movie.
Yeah,
absolutely stellar.
Yeah, it is. I love that.
Albert Pyun is like my hero. He's my spirit animal.
He did one called Knights, which I really enjoyed.
Yes.
That's really good. Legend is freaking great.
Yes.
Of course, I'm sure he saw the unmolested, uncensored European version because
I'm sorry. I'm all Tangerine Dream, dude. I'm all Tangerine.
I love that too. I love it too. I'm not saying I don't love it.
It's just like that scores on another level, even though it was done in like 2 days. It's just
I know. Well, that's because
some of the best music written quick too.
I mean, that's really impressive that they knocked it out that fast too.
Yes.
That's what I heard in like 2 days.
Yes, because they were scoring like 100 movies that year. Yeah, and that was Tangerine Dream like at their peak. Right. Then they started doing new agey stuff once they weren't getting the soundtrack work anymore. But yeah, I love the Tangerine Dream Legend soundtrack to bits. But the 2-hour version of that movie is the superior version. It just is.
You remember? You remember when Goblin was like scoring every other J-Lo?
Oh yeah, man, that was.
Oh man, that was a time in music history.
I got the McFarlane Legend, dude, in the fish case. That was like one of the first, like, like 20 years old, dude. I still got it in the
Interesting.
garage.
Like I'll watch
the wrapping.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just interesting. Like now, of course, you've got new retro wave, and a lot of the horror movies I've been watching that are new have soundtracks that sound exactly like the soundtracks that were being made by Tangerine Dream and John Carpenter.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's a modern thing right now. You know, I mean,
is.
It's actually kind of leaving.
I'm with it too.
Been around. Yeah, I'm totally. I'll always be with it.
Totally here for it.
All right, let's see.
There's just something about a keyboard, man, that just brings it in certain things, you know, certain things.
Well, if you've got a master of it like Carpenter,
we'll be right back.
Mm-hmm. Or Tangerine
He
Dream.
got more mileage out of a keyboard than anybody I can think of ever scored a film.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I like about him too is he does his own, you know, his scores his own films for this. Robert Rodriguez. The only other guy I heard that's doing it now is Viggo. Viggo Mortensen's doing it with his new Western. He's scoring it himself. I saw an interview with him.
That's probably why Carpenter's music is always so good, because he is the director, because he is, you know, the writer, the editor. It's all so seamless. Like,
well, it's all in notes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just doing things. You're setting up panels. You're setting up storyboards. The music, it's all there. Like it all flows. You can totally set all that up. You know. Cerebrally, I would if I could. If I was a millionaire, that'd be freaking awesome, dude.
If I had that sort of genius, but like music is not one of my skills. I can sing, but I can't compose.
I could write melodies, but I can't. I mean, play guitar a little bit, but that's you know, and you know, mess around the microphone. But yeah, I'd love to take more lessons in different instruments. It'd be pretty cool. Yeah,
that's the sad thing. Like we only have so much time in the day. Like if I could learn it all, I would.
Yeah, man. Seriously, you know, guitar you can get pretty good in like 2 years and play for 4 hours a day.
You have to be one of those prodigies who can just absorb it all. You know, I've got all the talents all at once.
A polymath.
But I can't figure out how to count money. You know?
Yeah, I can remember all this stuff.
There's always a trade-off somewhere. It's like, yes, I'm a genius.
When I started,
I don't know how to tie my shoes.
I know.
When I started playing guitar, I took lessons, right? But they tried to like shove theory down my throat, like constantly with theory, and I was like, I don't want to do this shit. I just want to play like songs, dude. And he was like, no, but you have to learn this so that you can solo. Well, I didn't. I dropped out. I quit after 2 weeks. And then I went home and I learned on my own. It was easier. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you don't like that would be like, you know, if I'm trying to teach somebody how to draw, and so instead of like just teaching them the basic construction lines or the gesture or the shapes, I'm trying to give you in-depth theory into like, you know, how to feather, how to crosshatch, how to smudge your pencil to get gradients and stuff. Like that comes later. Like, you know,
I think it's worse than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not about structure that they were trying to teach. It's more like picture this. It's instead of them teaching you structure and how to draw characters, they're like trying to teach you how to use geometry in your art to do perspectives.
Right. Like, all right, we're going to do a drawing and we're going to start with this. This is what we call the golden ratio. And it's like, okay.
By the way, real quick announcement. I'm going to see if I can get him on camera here. Come here, baby.
Hey.
You got a cat?
Got a cat. Want to come up here? Just got him today, as a matter of fact. Yeah. Let me see if I can grab him.
They had 5 Nemesis movies?
I'll get you.
Yeah, they sure did.
Surprisingly. I really only like the first one.
Simon.
Yeah. Oh. And evidently he answers to that name. So, does he speak? Want to speak? Speak. I've only heard him meow once so far. So, yeah. Yeah, So
blink twice if you need help.
I mean, look, I understand. Like I've been saying, I've been an unemployed cat butler, and now I'm once again in employment. It's just like a relationship with cats. It's always a subservient one. Yeah, that's right. I'm your power bottom.
There's a cool video on YouTube and Instagram and shit like that, where it's cats are smarter than dogs when it comes to like Rumbas. You know what I'm saying? Like dogs are laying there, Rumba grabs their tail and they just take the fuck off and ruin like a $500 Rumba.
Oh, one of my favorite videos that shows the difference between cats and dogs is somebody starts putting like little bottles of stuff in their narrow hallway, and the dogs panic. They can't figure how to get over it if they don't think they can leap all the way across. One just looks at it and just squeezes it up against the wall and just walks right by without knocking a single thing over, no matter how many obstacles they put in the way.
Exactly. Well, with the Rumba, the cat's actually riding the Rumba, and he's like pushing the Rumba away with one of his feet. He's like, "Yeah, just get on over."
Yeah, it's super cute. It's super cute. But yeah, so looking forward to getting to know this little guy.
How long have you had it?
He's a mush. I just got him today.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're in the honeymoon period right now. Y'all get to know each other.
Yeah. Well, what happened was, I kind of went on Nextdoor and asked like where like the local shelters like and that sort of thing, because I was like, felt like I was ready, and a woman replied to my post and said, "Hey, like I've got this cat. He's 8 years old, great tabby, and he's a mush, and he belonged to some guy who is dying from Alzheimer's." And so he can't take care of him anymore, and so his former landlord is taking care of the cat and said, like, I don't have a problem taking care of him, but I work every day and he's not getting like the love that he needs, right? And of course I'm working from home, and he is a mushy cat from everything I'm told. And yeah, he's like, he hid for a while, shorter period than I expected. I was expecting him maybe to like hide for like a day. Some cats will do that, right? Yeah. After a couple of hours, he came out, and now he's just like already like being like aggressively cute and everything. So
sweet. All right.
He's gonna be pretty soon. Be like, did you change my litter box? Where my treats at?
Where my treats at? Where my treats at? Yeah.
Where's my little thing? Where they like.
One of my cats. Like I found two of my cats. Somebody just dumped them outside in a parking lot, and that's how I acquired a couple of my cats. And it's so funny because I was working at a movie theater at the time, and the cat had gotten into the theater, and everybody's trying to catch the cat. Nobody could catch the cat. They managed to chase it out. Yeah. And they're all worried about the cat because, it wasn't a big cat. It was still a kitten, but not like a tiny baby kitten. And like, oh, what are we going to do? And I walk outside, and the cat, like, nobody can catch the cat. And the cat walks right up to me. And I just bend down and pick it up. And they're like, oh, can you take care of it? And I was like, oh, shit.
You got a cat. That's the best way to get them. That's the best way to get them.
Here's what my wife had to say. So, like, this cat was wandering around until it saw the one that had sucker across the forehead.
Yeah. Dude, it's best when they choose you. It really is.
I hate seeing kittens out in the wild.
This is the best cat choose I ever saw. This dude is up in his tree stand hunting deer. He's up in his tree stand, like 15 feet up in a tree. He's hunting deer, and he's filming himself. And all of a sudden, he notices like a little orange tabby comes through the green, and it spots him. And he's like, he's not trying to make any noise, he doesn't want to scare off the deer. He's here to hunt. And this cat climbs up the flipping tree, and then climbs up his leg, and then climbs up onto his shoulders. And then the caption says, and it was at this moment I became a cat owner.
Yeah. They make you their bitch.
Yes. Because there's this cute little meme out there that has like a kitten in a pet store, and it's like, oh, hello, kitten, and the kitten's saying back, hello, future slave.
That's kind of how that works, So and I'm going to stay in touch with the lady that gave him to me and send pictures and everything. So this guy's going to know that his kid is hooked up. Is hooked up right. That he's going to be spoiled. He's going to be spoiled. All my cats get spoiled rotten because you don't have them forever. You know what I mean? We don't get to keep them. They're on loan. So while I have them, spoil the fuck out of them.
As far as our dogs, like my dog loves fetching a ball. You know what I'm saying?
Dogs to play with. Cats.
So I'm like,
not so much.
Anything that dog likes, like I'm gonna give it to him because he's only here for like 5-6 years.
Yes.
You know.
So yes, they're on loan. We don't get to keep them. So
if you want something long term, you better get a tortoise. It'll outlast you.
Yeah, I know, right?
for damn sure. Let's take a look at this trailer.
There's another beautiful shot right there in the credits.
Fucking incredible.
The composition is just perfect.
The cinematography on this is fucking insane. You know what? Let me check real quick to see if I can find who the cinematographer is.
God knows.
They fucked up IMDb so bad.
I wish I could make this
cinematography is good.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not that the cinematography is good; it's amazing, right? Let me see if he's done any classics or anything.
God knows, that's just extraordinary.
Everything about this scenery in this movie has been
your Paul's game is so on point, man.
And the music here is taken partly from a record by the Greek composer Vangelis.
I think it's hit or miss, the music in this movie.
Yes, the Vangelis stuff is great, and a lot of the other stuff isn't, especially the romantic stuff, right?
Yeah.
I just love like that close up of like the rat fangs going into the neck. It's like
I like that too.
Like where is that coming from? Is the camera in his mouth? Right? It doesn't make any sense, but fuck it.
Sometimes like the last time I saw somebody do this, was they did the shot in Anaconda where Vought is getting eaten by the anaconda and the camera is inside the snake's throat. And it's like it's a shot.
I seen that. Yeah.
But
at first I thought you said in the condom. I was like, the shot in the condom. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, but I know what shot you're talking about. I've seen that one.
Because sometimes you get that shot in a horror movie, like you'll be inside the monster's mouth, and it'll open up, and the fangs reveal the victim just before they get chomped on.
Right.
And
they did it in a lot of shark movies too.
It's a very cool shot.
And here he has like psychic powers, like telekinetic powers,
out of the room.
where he just like blasts these guys with like a force blast that knocks them out of the
He did it with the cross too, like he heated the cross up.
Yep. And I love this too, because here we're getting some fucking Italian style gore.
I think they overused that.
Hang on a second, Brian.
Yeah.
Brian, do you know what this reminds me of?
Yeah.
Because I was just watching a clip of this because it's one of my favorite vampire movies of all time. I was just watching a clip of Fright Night where Jerry Dandridge, this is the 85 one, encounters Charlie in his room, and he's going to push him out of a window, so he lands on the spiked fence down below.
Yeah.
And then after Charlie sticks him in the hand with a pencil and he gets enraged, he shouts at him, and there's like this magical force that pushes Charlie up against the window once again. It's like,
and he changes.
So Monster Squad did it too.
This whole scene reminds me of
and then he has the NOSFERATU fingers.
I thought they overused the spikes on the fence.
Yeah,
they did that scene twice.
And they also did it with Christopher Lee.
And my favorite did it the first, right? My favorite part about the fucking spikes is that when the people land on the spikes, they cut to a close up of
their face or something
of the actor's face.
Yeah, there's no gore really.
And but you'll notice that they're standing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So it's They're being shot at the wrong angle.
Yeah, that's weird that somebody didn't think of that.
It's wow. Yeah, no, this
because I would definitely if I was shooting that shot, I would want them like laying on something where I could see that their bodies were arched and their heads were hanging down.
Right.
Yeah, the gravity was pulling back to the earth.
But it just makes everything just even more bizarre. And then of course Carnival and
unless they landed like straight up like Judas chair.
Right, or I'm just like, wait, did this just go up their ass? Right?
Vlad
they do that.
Oh. It should have came out
or
of the
their
mask.
taint?
Well, you know, since Nosferatu is based on Dracula, that would be appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. And this is the one scene they could have done
Very
more
scene.
of this of the shadows.
Yeah, a lot more of this in the movie would have been better. It would have been better.
Right?
Another 2 more scenes like this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There you go.
And he's not referred to as Dracula or Count Orlok. He's referred to as Nosferatu, which just means vampire.
Right?
Es war Nosferatu.
But it's like Nosferatu as a character.
gehört und er wird wieder töten.
Was können wir tun?
Liebe. Nur Liebe kann ihn
They
zerstören.
won't kill him.
Die Hingabe
Only
einer
love.
Jungfrau. Im Augenblick der Vereinigung wird er sterben. 1000 Jahre hat er sich nach dem Tod gesehnt.
I wonder if they were always going to refer to him as Nosferatu, or was that a change when they changed over directors?
I have no fucking clue. I would love to see like a timeline or like, I mean, there's
Dude,
something
I love
about this movie
flying
that feels
on
like
the
a
wall.
tapestry.
While
or
we're
actually,
going
you
through
know
all
what?
these people.
This movie feels like a quilt. Right?
Hey, you know what? You know what might answer some questions? If we could
Yeah.
find the script online and see what they
Ooh,
were.
that's a good idea. Yeah, like the
Easy.
original script.
I know that Severin, they're the ones who put this out on Blu-ray, because this was a movie that I read about like in '88, but you could never find it. They didn't even have this at Kim's Video, and Kim's Video had everything. That was the legendary group of stores in New York City. There's a documentary now about it where you could go and you could see all of these movies that had never been released on VHS.
That's
in
fantastic.
the United States. And they're mostly like rips from Japanese laser discs, right? So many of these movies I saw with
I mean, that's for
Japanese subtitles, but this
for a
had
long
never
time
been on
before the-
VHS and
before
it
the
had
internet.
never been on DVD, and so it premiered on Blu-ray. Like this was a movie that you could only, I think this only just finally surfaced about like 3 or 4 years ago.
Well, you know, before the internet, I will say this about the internet: the being able to find these scripts online and read the script was like even some old stuff you can get online. But before we had the internet, the only way to get a lot of movies, especially if you like foreign movies like me, was you'd have to go to a Comic-Con and you'd have to purchase a bootleg.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how I got the Godzilla movies that I was missing. I went to Comic-Con and got them.
And there were catalogs. Luminous Film and Video Works. They were the best because what they would do is they would get upgrades of their movies. But when they would get upgrades, what they would do is they'd say, hey, don't buy the upgrade. Send us the original that you got from us so we know that you bought it from us. Send that to us, and we'll pay for the postage, and we'll send you a free copy of the upgrade. So they were like the shit, like like that. They're the ones that I got a great copy of Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue from, and a bunch of other pictures. But this was always impossible to find, and now it's like all over YouTube and it's on Tubi.
Liebe zwingt das Böse in die Knie. Die Hingabe.
It's like, or you're talking about like what's that Donald Sutherland film that all of a sudden got he's chasing his daughter in the Little Red Raincoat. What is that film called?
Freeway? No. Oh, Kill Baby Kill?
No, it's Donald Sutherland.
Of course, it's one of the movies I've been wanting to do on this stream. Don't Look Now.
Don't Look Now. And
yes,
that's a film that all of a sudden it's getting a second life because
I know
this actor died and people rediscovered it. It's kind of like Stranger Things gave Kate Bush's career a second life. People like running up that hill.
Yeah,
it's like
warbling voice. Yeah, and introduced Zoomers to and millennials to Xer culture.
Yeah,
basically, and because a lot of the shit came out back in the 80s was dope. Unfortunately, a lot of the stuff. I mean, I know people bag on Zoomers a lot, and I get it, but you got to understand these kids are fucked up because this was done to them. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not their fault that they're as fucked up as they are, and they are extremely fucked up.
I agree because
that's not their fault.
Well, they came from parents that didn't believe in punishment.
Yeah,
like I remember that, dude. I remember when that was starting up, and parents were like, "No, they get time out."
You had a terrible combination of either helicopter parents or absentee parents. Neither way is you get made a parent.
Yeah, right. And of course, had to look up, since we are a comic book related and like art centric kind of a stream. Looked up some of the posters. Oh man, where's this been all my life?
Right, pretty awesome.
Dude,
how fucking dope is that?
I want that. I've got to have that. I need
that's
that.
The fucking shit right there.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
That's fucking how fucking rad is that? And it's like, wait, why didn't I think of this? Why didn't anybody think of this sooner? It's so fucking dope.
That would be
like Dr. Frankenstein.
Shit, that's an idea for Halloween right there, son.
He's like, it's alive! It's alive!
It's a cheap Halloween gimmick.
I finished.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. My family, we have like a pumpkin carving competition every year. I'm carving that shit into the pumpkin.
There it is. There it is. Wait, I'm looking for this particular.
Yeah, that one yell like speech. I'm God sent. I'm sent from God.
Yes.
you will listen to me.
Yeah, Donald Pleasance, of course, he's always reliable. He fucking chews up the scenery like a motherfucker. I'm looking. Where the fuck is that? I'm looking for the Severin art from the Blu-ray, because they did a really cool. I don't know if that was like for the Steel Book or something like that, but they did like this really cool piece, which unfortunately I cannot find. I must have misplaced it, or maybe I put it in the wrong folder, because it really, I know I can be a motherfucker. Yeah. So, gentlemen, general impressions of this film. Matt, let's start with you. General impressions of Nosferatu in Venice.
I give it probably one horn up out of 2. I think it's good. Check out Nosferatu first of all, then check out Werner Herzog's remake, which has this actor in it. And then watch this. And then
for shits and giggles,
one shits and giggles view out of it. That's what I would say. Just check it out. It's got awesome cinematography. Oh,
that's a cool post. No.
It's all right.
I don't like it.
Couldn't find a lot of fan art.
It's just if you're wanting to see the rat, like the rat, he's even kind of got that post
that right there. That cover you just showed, that looks like a really crappy VHS Days of the Blockbuster cover.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, for sure.
That's a lousy cover.
Yeah,
I almost felt like I don't know. I don't know. Klaus Kinski. He's like, make sure I get all these women in this movie.
The guy likes to have fun. That's for sure.
So
there's a scene in Czech.
You can sell me on a Klaus Kinski movie just by doing this, just by putting Klaus Kinski, like a little snippet of a scene in the title. Okay, I'm checking it out.
What's it?
Klaus Kinski Nosferatu in Venice?
So the cinematography, and it's definitely worth watching. It's not like
that one's
go
cool.
Back and watch it again, maybe for a morgue file like he was talking, Preston. But Yeah, it's not something I'm gonna go watch again, like Nosferatu or the Nosferatu remake or.
It's not
If I go through it again, it's to clip it. Just take fucking snapshots.
It's eye candy. Like I would think that this would be like one of the best background movies you could.
Like it's entertaining, Like I'm totally down with that, It's like going to the bakery and picking up a new muffin that you're never going to eat again, but you're going to try it sometimes. You can't eat the same shit all the same exact thing. Like, oh, that was trash, but this muffin's bomb. This is the best muffin I ever had. You have to do that sometimes. It's fun.
When he's riding in on the boat, that kind of reminded me of that Johnny Depp movie, the Demon Butcher. Like
yeah.
Sweeney
Todd.
Yeah, Sweeney Todd.
Through a Fleet Street.
The Audience I saw that with, and I think that's the last good movie I ever saw that was by Tim Burton. I think that's pretty much the last good movie he made. The Audience I saw that with was baffled because they had come in expecting Pirates of the Caribbean. That's what they've been sold.
Yeah,
right.
The
advertising campaign for the movie didn't come out and say, "Yeah, this is a musical, but it's about a fucking cannibal."
I'm sorry, did they not watch a single trailer?
Right.
Exactly.
I seen that in the theater. Yeah,
the audience was completely
wild.
baffled. There was there's a scene in that where a little boy is sentenced to death, and the audience was just groaning. They were just like, "Oh, give me a break!" I'm like, "You idiots realize that they did exactly that."
One's,
Oh, dude, they were brutal.
Yeah.
Right, but they're like, but they didn't believe it because they get all of their history. You got to understand this about Americans. We get all of our history from the movies, all of it.
I'm so
glad. Let me put it this way: schools are not that good as far as like relating history.
No.
It's the worst possible source you can have.
It is actually. My wife. We were watching Yellowstone, and they he was about to tell him about why the buffalo were killed, and I told her, I said the buffalo were killed because they were trying to starve out the Indians. And she was like, she kind of nodded. And then he goes, yeah, the reason why they killed the buffalo was to starve out the Indians. And she was like, is that true? I was like, yeah, it's true. And she goes, even in school, like history, they never taught us that.
No.
They taught them that.
That they were actually doing germ warfare against the Native Americans, or
exactly
blankets.
Well, they were teaching them that they were trying to help the Indians by killing a buffalo for.
Yeah, you see that picture of a man standing in front of like thousands and thousands of poles stacked up. It's like, even the most vicious, bloodthirsty hunters would not just do that just for the
No.
And it was
Rhino actually respect the animals.
Well, it was an op. Like the government was offering so much per hit, right?
Yes.
But it wasn't. It was all an op. Like they didn't need the skins or anything like that. It was just like, kill as many as you can, because they knew exactly what they were doing. They were trying to starve out the Native Americans.
Like, look, the Indians follow buffalo. There's no buffalo. What are they going to follow?
Right. What are they going to eat? Right. Exactly. Because and they respected the buffalo because they relied
on religious thing.
For everything, because they were like, these animals provide us everything because they used everything too.
Ice and meat.
We were just fucking just butchering these animals and leaving them to rot.
Exactly.
But that's America's original sin, and we don't talk about.
Oh, that. There's so many.
There's so many, but we don't cop to that shit. We've never come to terms with.
We don't cop to releasing viruses over whole cities to see what would happen.
No.
Or nuclear clouds and shit like that.
No. Especially these days where people don't accept accountability for nothing.
Or LSD in the water supply to see if we can brain control people.
Exactly.
Turn the goddamn frogs gay.
Telling soldiers that they got a special unit they're going to be a part of, but they got to take massive doses of LSD.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, look, the military was hoping they could use it for mind control, and it turned out not to be the case. Weed was the thing that they were really scared of because it can actually kind of open your mind.
Well, here's how potent that stuff is. I took chemistry under a guy who had 7 PhDs in chemistry. I was learning organic chemistry.
Yeah.
And this dude was given a substance. He said they were told it was a perceptual drug, and they were testing it on pigeons because pigeons are colorblind. They can't differentiate between like like orange and yellow, for instance.
Right. Like
And
dogs.
yeah. So like the setup was, if the pigeon hit the right lever, it would get a pellet. Yummy, yummy, yummy. If it hit the wrong lever, it would get a little shock. So as they were dosing the pigeons with the LSD, eventually the pigeon could tell the difference between the orange and the yellow. And then they dosed them a little bit more, and the pigeon would kind of wobble up to it, and he'd hit the thing, and if he got a pellet, great. If he got the shock, you're like, well, you can't win them all, and he would just keep hitting the shock button because he was so stoned, like he's like, yeah, whatever, that tingles, that's cool. And he said, like, I didn't know what this stuff was at the time. He said, I found out later, but when I saw the effect of that, I quit the program. He's like, this stuff is dangerous.
There was a writer who wrote a bunch of comics. Was mainly a theater guy, Del Close, and he wrote for DC Comics for a while. He was also like an acting teacher, a bunch of other stuff. He's in two of the Blob movies, including the Chuck Russell remake. He plays the priest in that, right? And
okay.
And he went into that program. The military was looking for test subjects, and they would give him acid, and he would go into like a isolation tank, right? The ones filled with water, right?
Like altered states.
Yeah,
exactly. And so he'd be like, he said he was tripping his balls off, flying through the galaxy, and then periodically, suddenly there'd be a split in the universe, and this light would just blind him, right?
Oh.
Like God, right? And it said, "What do you want for lunch? Lunch." Like, I don't know what he got.
And that was him opening up the tank.
And then God handed him a menu, and he went, "Of the tuna fish salad, one tuna fish salad, sandwich coming up, and then the right in the door closed, and he was back cruising, flying through the galaxy, and then opened it again. Here's your tuna salad, fish sandwich."
You know what I've always wondered is how many soldiers they actually fried, about overdosing on LSD, because they had no barometer to go by. They would just kind of.
When I was in the service, one of my squad mates, she was telling me the story about her uncle in Vietnam, and they would put them on uppers, so they would patrol for like a week, and they would come back in. They'd put them on downers, so they would sleep for 3 days.
Yeah, that's healthy.
Right.
Yeah, it's very healthy.
Yeah. Well, when you're young, you can take an ass whipping like that. You know what I mean? When you're like 19.
Here's the weird thing.
For kids.
Here's the weird thing. She said her uncle told her, and he suspects they were given something. And I said, I don't know if they were putting it in their rations and their water or what have you while they were out there. But he said they would get into these hairy situations, and he was telling her, and everything would turn blue. Like that scene in Mouth of Madness, like my favorite color is blue, right? Everything would turn blue, and he would kind of be outside of his own body, watching himself like a top-down video game. And according to him, via her, the story that I was getting, that weird state of being kept him alive because he just had like superhuman reflexes in that state, and he could just avoid the gunfire, and he always knew where to be and where to shoot, and he never got a scratch on him when like that state happened to him.
Damn. So basically they perfected something that the Nazis were working on.
Yeah, it was
it was actually Nazi scientists, like Operation Paperclip and all that shit.
Yeah, dude, it was
actually knew.
It was like super soldier serum, man.
Yeah.
How close the Nazis were to like fucking winning on the shit. Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's what I think that it's anti-gravity technology because the Nazis were working on that shit.
Jet planes, fucking pyramids, and fucking Antarctica. Jesus Christ, dude! Like they were.
It's insane.
It's almost like somebody was trying to help them out. They were like, "Okay, like you guys want to win this shit? For one thing, You need really cool looking uniforms. Let's go ahead and hook you up with.
M for
I
mature.
got to hand a lot of that to Hitler because he was an
Check
artist.
this out. Check this.
He knew how to design some iconography.
A shitty artist, and I've had this discussion on the stream before where I'm like, whenever there's like going to be an exhibition of Nazi art, it always gets shut down, right? This was back. I mean, now of course it's unthinkable, but even back in the 80s and the 90s, whenever somebody plans to show Nazi art, it gets shut down. And I think it's so important if you're an artist to look at Nazi art because
now let's be objective.
It's fascinating
right?
for what it's
Hey, look,
not.
it's simple, it's strong, it's bold, and you can see why it captured people.
But it's soulless.
Well, let's be honest.
You don't even want to call it art.
Would you say like the U.S. has perpetrated a lot of the same things that the Nazis perpetrated?
Tons. You know about
we did grab all their
space. The guy that would do the Jackson Pollock. Jackson Pollock was a psyop. You know that?
Like experimenting on its own people. Because I mean, let's be honest. Like anabolic steroids, Nazis.
Wait.
I'm saying, like
Jackson Pollock was a psyop because
yes, look it up. Like this is new information. I know. It's kind of like
splatter art.
Was it really?
Yeah. Yes. Because they wanted to get rid of beauty. They wanted to get rid of beautiful art. So it's just like
I always hated his fucking work, dude. Always thought it was garbage. I mean, people would argue, "You don't understand." I was like, "No, dude, I understand. It looks like somebody just threw shit out of fucking canvas."
Yes, I understand it's shit. That's what I understand. It's crap. It's poo-poo.
Exactly.
But yeah, that was a recent revelation. Yeah, it was a psyop. And it's kind of like
there's something to that because we went to the brutalist architecture and then we got we've got the modern art, which is all completely bullshit, and now we've gone past that into like fucking performance art, which is the most ridiculous thing ever.
That is fucking retarded, dude. It's always been like performance art was out when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought it was bullshit back then. I'm like, you've got to be shitting me.
Well, I mean, that's the nature of the artists. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not the medium. Going to watch Kinski have a fucking meltdown on stage, that to me would be performance art.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's actually got
like live art, right?
I was like looking at some performance art recently. I found a series of clips on like YouTube. And there's literally somebody with like creamed corn in a bowl, and they're just slapping it out of the bowl. And I was like,
"Hey, what I do in my personal life is none of your business."
Right. Like you're not doing it in front of a crowd. Check this out. Like, I know that this made my man.
These people are getting paid, and I've been struggling.
Yeah. But
are they getting paid?
It's a hustle.
I don't know if they're getting paid though. You see, because I hung around those guys. You know, because I was like, because when people were telling me like, no, you know what, comic book artists aren't real artists, and you're wasting your time. And I was like, well, let me see what the other side's like. And I hung around with them. Dude, nobody made money in that area. Like they just hung around, just blowing each other's egos up and drinking some wine and eating some cheese, but nobody had money.
Yeah. Comic book artists know absolutely nothing about form, composition, color.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Comic book artists only have to draw anything and everything imaginable, real.
Exactly. And then create the stuff that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Matt, have you seen this yet? Do you know what I'm about to play here?
No.
Oh, check this out. Matt, prepare to get an erection.
What do you mean prepare? I have one close. Oh yes.
Oh, wow.
The retro shit.
Yes. That's cool.
Okay, so Matt at this moment is thinking, okay, that looks pretty cool, but I'm a half maxed. Here comes the real bone. It's bona time, Matt.
Oh shit, dude, that's awesome.
Matt's like, boing,
Yeah,
boing,
that's
boing,
awesome.
boing, boing, boing.
Is that an actual system, or you can download an emulator and just do it through the emulator?
No, these are games. They're coming out.
Okay, because I know like people were
these are
creating
actual
like custom games like this, just using any characters they wanted to. Like they just put Godzilla against Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, I've
you
seen
know?
what they call it, like a Mugen, where people would just make their own fighting games in that Street Fighter style.
Yeah, they have like a platform, they got a program where you can just drop any characters you want in there, and it's
Yeah, you make the sprites, you make the poses, and the script's already
but
there.
it looks like the same format. Like it looks like just
because it's designed. It's retro. It's designed to look like a 16-bit video game. It's designed.
I'm talking about the boxes, the levels. All that looks the same. It looks like the same. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, dude, that's bad.
Looks like fun.
Probably gonna have to get that Ash versus Evil Dead.
That's like down boy.
It's a TV show, and the TV show is pretty epic. I love that TV. I gotta go back and watch them.
Yeah,
I still haven't checked it out much to my.
They're continuing the show as an animated series.
Yeah, I heard they're making. Well, I heard they're making an animated movie, but and a video game.
It's supposed to be a continuation of the show.
Did anybody see the Watchmen animated movie they just put out?
No.
Yeah,
it's complete fucking garbage, dude. Complete garbage.
I didn't bother.
watch it.
The animation looks like shit. It's like shit. 3D.
It is. It's that 2D, but it's really 3D animation.
Oh, okay, the modern
it's garbage.
stuff.
Yeah, I was offended.
Netflix animation.
Yeah, I was like, this is some fucking bullshit. Like, really? This is what you're gonna try and fucking sell
I like
me?
their Castlevania season 1 and 2. What they did.
The Castlevania one is dope.
The motion comic blows it away. Like the motion comic kills.
Oh god, that's another thing that dropped this week. Actually, they finally added Dracula to Dead by Daylight.
Oh yeah, which one?
Yes,
Castlevania.
Oh he's kind of like
Castlevania Dracula, and you get to turn into bats.
Which one? The Robert Carlyle one or the? I gotta see.
Hold
I
on.
gotta see it.
Let me.
There's a Robert Carlyle one, then there's a one from the TV show, then there's a bunch of different Castlevania Draculas.
Yeah.
The one from the Robert Carlyle one, that was from 2 games, so you can actually beat him in the game. Patrick Stewart's in there.
The Castlevania Netflix one with the art based off what's the Japanese artist's name? Like he does so much of that artwork. But I always love that those designs. I can't remember.
And it was written. Yeah, and the script for it was fucking fantastic. It was Warren Ellis doing the writing, and then they had to wrap the series up. At least they gave him a chance to wrap the series up. Before he got canceled.
That second game though, dude, where you're Dracula and you travel through time, you travel like through the future and then back in the during the 1400s. You're taking on like the pharmaceutical industry.
Before that.
Well, the one before that, you're Gabriel Belmont. You're the first Belmont, and you have to fight the vampire. You have to fight Camilla, the vampire lord, the werewolf lord, and also the necromancer lord. And once you do that, you go through the game. Then you fight Lucifer at the end. Then you become Dracula.
And I was just like, at a certain point,
you become Dracula. And then the second game, you're Dracula all the way through it. It's epic, dude. And it looks like it's through Guillermo del Toro's lens. It's like Hellboy 2, the Golden Army style. The whole game.
Maybe I should skip from that one to the next one because I have them. I have them both in my library.
You got to play them both. They're equally as good. They're both very different.
I mean, I have to say I enjoyed it, but it's one of those games where I just got like seduced by another one. Right?
Oh yeah,
and I haven't come back. I haven't finished it yet. But yeah, check this out.
There's the castle. And Belmont's like, hey, where's my whip? Where's my whip?
Yeah, and so it's like a pack. This is like DLC. That is to say, they keep adding new characters, and you can buy them in packs or you can buy them a la carte, right? Just like solo. Like Chucky, for instance, is my favorite killer in the game. Actually, right before this stream, I'm murked. I got a fucking 4K.
Okay.
On a fucking Swift on like a fucking Discord team. Wipe them the fuck out.
How does teeny tiny ass little Chucky hang somebody on one of those hooks?
Oh, well, that's because his ghost will pick him up and pick up that person
that's cool.
And carry him, right? And another thing that I was thinking about Matt when this happened. I was in the lobby, right, where you see the people that you're gonna be playing against, and somebody was playing Bruce Campbell, right? Yeah. And I'm playing Chucky, and Chucky suddenly says, "Wait a second, I know that guy."
That's funny.
Nice.
Yeah, like they actually because some of the killers are disappointing, right? Like for instance, Freddy Krueger doesn't talk. I'm just like, that's like he's one of the chattiest fucking.
Yeah. Well, that's because they based him off the Jackie or Haley.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, he doesn't.
Oh,
he doesn't talk too much. That one. I mean, he does, but not much. He's not as cartoony.
Yeah, I guess
I started watching that and I just turned it off.
Yeah, because they did the same thing with Mortal Kombat, if you remember, when they got the Freddy Krueger DLC, they went with the Jackie Earl Haley. There must be a licensing issue there.
Yeah,
it is.
A new line thing, probably.
Yeah. And so what they're doing is the game keeps blowing up, so they keep getting newer and newer licenses, right? Like they got Alien, they got Chucky. Trying to think of some of the other recent ones they've had, Vecna from Dungeons and Dragons, that sort of a thing. And everybody's always wondering like who's going to be next. And a lot of people are lobbying for Art the Clown.
Oh yeah, he'll get there.
But the thing is they never had a vampire, right? And I don't understand. It's just like Dracula's public domain. Why don't they have Dracula? Why don't they have a vampire? Because they were waiting for like a licensing thing like this.
They wanted to get Castlevania Dracula.
Go to Castlevania Dracula.
He's pretty uber, that Dracula.
Yes. Yeah, like ridiculously powerful.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't know how powerful you are in the game. I know that you can. There's no gameplay footage. I did watch a little bit of the gameplay footage that people have been streaming, and you do get to turn into a swarm of bats. And like I guess that helps you like hunt down the because all the killers have like their own special power.
Do they make levels too, or is it just
the alien? Levels? The alien like burrows
There's
into
different maps, but it's just the same
up.
game. What was that, Bracy?
So like the alien will burrow into a hive and pop up somewhere else on the map.
Yeah, I haven't played the Xenomorph. I haven't played the Xenomorph.
Do they have the Geiger map on there too, like the spaceship for Alien? Do they have the Geiger map?
Yeah, it's like running through it's like running through one of those the tunnels that the aliens make with all the
that's awesome
biomechanical shit and the slime. And
then probably gonna have the castle, obviously.
When it pops up, it ends up in like the dinner table at the Nostromo.
Okay, where the chest burster comes out.
Yeah, right. And then from there, because that's like one of the kind of building like sets up, so it can pop up there and then run out and get you.
What you do, like my always recommendation for this game, because it's always being changed, and sometimes it gets swarmed with cheaters and griefers and shit like that. And so it's one of those games where I was playing it, enjoying it, and then I wasn't having fun anymore. I was like, okay, I'm putting that down for a while, I'm playing something else. And then 6 months came back later and was just like, oh, like they've cleaned it, they've cleaned this up a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's you against 4 other people when you're playing a killer, and so it's always been sort of tilted in favor of the survivors, right? But it got to a point, right, where people were cheating, and when they were cheating, then it was just like you were a killer, you weren't getting anybody, you were just getting your ass handed to you every single match, right? And my recommendation always is, like, if you're going to buy that game, buy the base game. It's like $20 or something like that. Get it when it's on sale. And also when they have some, like the summer sale, they have a fall sale, that sort of thing.
All that stuff.
Yeah, like then buy like the specialty, like get Michael Myers, the Shape.
Yeah, because
right?
I'm always getting
he's
the ads in
okay.
my email is like, hey, like this game you've got in your like watch list is like just went on like 45, 50, 75% sale. I was like, boom.
Yeah. Because I have to say, there's something just exhilarating about stalking around on a map, and the way that you power up as Michael Myers is you lurk and you fucking just watch people, right?
Yes,
Evil Dead game too, man.
He's my most leveled up killer. I just love.
Me too. Him and Pinhead. Oh,
I haven't
we lost
to
Preston.
play with him.
Oh, he's difficult to master, but once you have him down, you can fuck shit up. You can really just obliterate survivor teams. Let's see. We are it's 12:30 already. We should probably be skedaddling. And since Pops isn't wrapping this up, we can always bullshit a little bit in the back room. But Matt, tell these fools where you at.
You guys could find me here on Thursdays late. Sorry. You can find me on my channel. Sometimes I do Saturday midnight streams, depending on different things. I'm trying to do one this Saturday night, but we'll see what happens. And if you guys want, you can check me out on my YouTube channel, Metal Movies and Brewskis. I do reviews of comic books at the moment. And if you want, hit me up on Twitter. And thanks for having me, Brian. My Twitter is at RuneCutterComic. So, if you want to check out my books, ButchCleaver.com, Gothic Horror Western.
Hell yeah. Cat's got his butt all up in my monitor.
What cats do.
Oh man.
Cats do. Well, I mean, that's the thing is I have to get a desk bed.
Cats are a foot tall, but they always manage to show you their asshole somehow.
Yep. They sure do. But yeah, when I get the desk bed, it's just like then they can just kind of hang out and not walk around on the keyboard because they're just chilling, and you can just give them a little attention. It's like, oh yeah, he's gonna expedite my writing process for sure. Bracy, tell these people where they can find you.
All right, Comic Crusaders. We have a website where you'll find reviews I've written for comics and movies, as well as like a lot of other people doing that sort of thing, including toy reviews, music reviews, all sorts of things like that. You can also find me on our Comic Crusader YouTube channel. Look for the podcast Cinema Crusaders and Sloppy Spoilers. Sadly, they do have some infrequency due to life getting in the way, but we have quite a playlist of things that we have set up. So there's lots of content to go through. Of course, I pop in here. I pop in on the Madness Network every now and again, different things. And you can find me on Twitter at Bracy452. And get on Kickstarter, where you can find our Blood World Phoenix Throne comic book. And it's a great space opera with a cybernetic monarchy out there on the moon of Ganymede, just hanging out around Jupiter. And you can see the Dune-ish Game of Thronesian sort of crazy goings on as we have intrigue, military action, royal gambits, backstabbing, lust, blood, all kinds of fun things.
Cool. All right. Next week we're going to be doing the Spaghetti Western Jamboree. I haven't picked a movie yet though. But we'll figure something out. Matt, of course, open to suggestions, but
Oh right. Oh wait, no, that's not spaghetti. No.
That's not spaghetti. But maybe we'll do another one of the Bud Spencer Terrence Hill movies, possibly.
There was actually one, but I forgot. It was a spaghetti I was thinking of the other day, but I forgot.
Okay. Well, dude, hit me up in the DMs, and
didn't Terrence Hill play Django one time too?
Yes. Django Prepare a Coffin.
Yes.
And he's very good in that too. He's actually like a suitable stand-in for Franco Nero, You know, it's before like his features got like cartoonish. You know, his chin. And everything.
Yeah, you get used to
Terra Coffin with Terrence Hill. Like that's
Hill.
actually the closest thing you can get to like a real Django sequel.
Yeah, they look like brothers.
Yeah. You get used to Terrence, you know, being the comedic actioneer, but like he's a legit actor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was in he played Siegfried, I think, in the German productions of the Nibelungenlied, you know, the opera, you know, Wagner and all that shit. We're gonna get on to that. But anyway, people, thank you so much for hanging out and tuning in. Smash that like button, smash the subscribe, ring a ding ding on the bell for notifications. And we will see you next week. And until then, peace and love. And of course,